Hello, and welcome to We Got Issues, the only comic book podcast that refuses to let all of the DC fill-in heroes of the 90s die off in obscurity. Your Kyle Rayners, your Artemises, Connor Hawks, John Paul Valley, Connor Kent, John Henry Irons, the Eradicator, Cyborg Superman, and arguably Jack Knight. I'm just saying those are all 90s fill-in heroes that DC had in the 90s. Hi, I'm Brian Compton, aka BComp, and joining me as always is the Green Lantern power battery to my power ring, Josh Markwood. How you doing, buddy?
Good. Thank you. I'm the power ring or the power battery. So what are you trying to say, Brian? Are you saying I'm like really flat? Flat. Okay, careful. Flat at the top and then round in the middle and then flat at the bottom.
No, you keep me full of energy, my friend. If it wasn't for you, I'd be useless within 24 hours.
Oh, it's so sweet. No matter that you have a wife and 2 kids, I'm the one.
How do you think I have the energy to take care of said wife? And
there you go. That's right. That, and I supply you copious amounts of cocaine. So yeah, we're good.
There you go. And today we've got a special guest joining us. He's one of the cats behind the Waffle Press Movie Podcast Network, where he also hosts the show Serving Up Comics. He's a former editor that I worked with over at G4, and dare I say, a good friend of the show. That's right, is Aversa. How you doing, buddy?
Hey guys, good to be back. Thanks for
welcome back.
Yeah, my second guest appearance, so I'm like a recurring character at this point. But
Gene, I'm gonna be honest with you. You're the only recurring character. You've been their only guest twice, so I mean, we so appreciate you being on here. So that's awesome.
We were guests on his show though too, so
yes, we were.
It's a little bit of a crossover kind of going on
twice too. So now we're like even, like we're in the black. We're not no red, no ledger.
What we need to do is like back now.
I was gonna say we need to do a to be continued episode. So like we start there, and then you come over to our show for part 2. Come over to We Got Issues, like a little cross promotion there. That's what I'm saying.
Like a '90s X-Men crossover.
Or any crossover from the 90s for that matter.
That's true. But I mean, mostly X-Men, where it's one team on one issue, other team on another issue.
I hate to be like that book that like has to be like, you have to read this issue to like get the whole thing of the crossover, but we got to do it.
It's like Blackest Night.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I feel like Blackest Night wasn't as like bad as say like oh man, I love Hickman, but I was thinking of Infinity, where it's like if I didn't read every single tie-in book for Infinity,
issue,
like I had no idea what was going on.
Yeah, that's pretty much. Blackest Night, I think, really kind of started it because like you really needed to read the Green Lantern book as well as the Blackest Night event. But yeah. But before we get started, Gene, I do have a question for you. Who's your favorite non-permanent replacement hero? Like, you know, like Bucky as Cap or as James Rose as Iron Man. Do you have a favorite sort of replacement hero? And if you need a second to think about it, what about you, Josh? Who's your favorite?
I think
I'll throw mine out.
What's yours actually?
Mine was always Connor Hawk. I'm doing it wrong. I love Ollie, but I love Connor Hawk, and I really feel like they underutilize him, and he needs to make a comeback. He did show up in DCKO, which is great, but they need to use him more. He's such a fun character, and I'd love to see him more. But what about you, Josh? And then Gene, you're next.
I mean, I like the quintessential '90s one for me is John Paul Valley for Batman, because it made no sense at all.
They hated him.
Yeah,
the writers hated him.
Yes,
but the writers specifically hated him.
But that's what. He's been building up Robin to replace him, and then he does this guy like randomly. But I always like Rhodey as well. I think Rhodey has been one of my top ones because of his like what's funny, like people don't realize too, like one of the first big Marvel crossovers, the Secret War. That was Rhodey. It wasn't Tony Stark.
It wasn't Tony Stark. Yeah, that's right.
And you have you get the Iron Man skates in that one too. So I mean, he's had a lot of staying power on his own as well. I think a good replacement gets out of the shadow of the character. Which that's what Rhodey kind of did. He made his own as War Machine, and then I think even Bucky did really well. But Bucky was kind of like you blink and he was done with being Cap.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What about you, Gene? Who's your favorite replacement hero?
It was very close because I know Josh was saying Bucky, but I feel like for Bucky, I wanna say that because I did love him as Cap, it felt like, for for Bucky that just the way he got kind of, sunsetted as Cap, he got kinda done dirty where he was put
Yeah, I
on
did.
trial, and then he just
Uh-huh.
died, but not died, and then he was the Winter Soldier again. So, like, as much as I love him as his Cap, it just feels like it just kind of ended on, like, just on a like, a whim. There was no rhyme or reason,
Yeah.
for why he eventually, left as Bucky, but, I was thinking about it because there's some good answers like Jaime Reyes, Blue
Mm.
Beetle,
Yeah.
but I think I would go with and I'll explain it, my choice was Dick Grayson as Batman
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
because, Dick Grayson, um, him as Batman was, like, the natural progression, right, of
Mhm.
him as his role going from Robin to Nightwing to Batman, and I love that era of the switch up of Damian being, like, the serious one and Batman being,
The one who
uh,
smiles.
the one who
Yeah.
smiles. But also and I think Morrison kind of retconned it a little bit because they ended the run during the New 52,
Yeah, right in
but
New 52.
Yeah.
yeah, the impression that I got was Dick just decided not to be Batman because it's like he didn't need it, right? Like, he was his own
Yeah.
man. Like, he
Yeah,
was the
it
only character where it was just, like, kinda walked away from being the replacement on his own terms.
yeah. Yeah, I think he's always I like him as Batman, but I think he's better as Nightwing. I really do
Yeah,
like him as
Yeah.
Nightwing.
I
yeah,
Yeah.
think Brian and I have always had the discussion of like who's been the best Robin and Nightwing. Everybody usually kind of goes with Dick Grayson a little bit, but they just like Brian and I have both are on the same page where it's like he is better as Nightwing than he has ever
Mhm.
been as Robin.
Best Robin's
yeah.
still Tim Drake. I
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
bar none. I really don't see, like, any kind of wiggle room with that, but that's I know
Oh,
you're a Damian
Damien,
guy, but yeah.
Damien.
Yeah, Gene,
Well
you're gonna have to be off the podcast if you're a Damien guy.
Well, because Damien has the best arc as Robin of just the fact he starts as, like, a killer and
We're gonna
the Bat family, like
Gene. I don't
Oh,
want to have to fight
yeah.
you. I'm not gonna want to
see
fight you. Like
Oh, man.
we're
Yeah.
gonna. This is gonna be another podcast where it's like,
No.
we
Hope not.
should do that though, like, who's the best Robin, come with facts. But before
Oh
we can
gosh.
do
yeah,
that,
Sure.
yeah.
Gene, we want to talk more about like what you've been up to. But before we can all do that, we need to make sure our audience knows that if you're looking for the best snacks in Sector 2814, you need to check out what Duff and Shaw, world's famous snacks. From green apple gummies to Sasquatch, Buffalo Ranch cashews, these snacks and candies have been curated from the most mysterious and undiscovered places on planet Earth. Head over to duffandshaw.com/issues today and check out all they've got and more. Again, that's duffandshaw.com/issues. See, now that was a segue. That's how we segue.
That was
right there.
That was
a
perfect.
very smooth segue.
That was
Well,
perfect.
as I said, Gene, for those of you who may have missed your last appearance on our show, can you tell us a little bit about, briefly, what your podcasts and what your shows are, real quick?
Yeah, sure. So I've run a podcast called the Waffle Press Movie Podcast. We've been around for 10 years and we talk about mainly movies that come out each week where we have like a filmmaker friend talk their films. And we're also just generally pop culture. So we have like because it's a network. The show that you've been on is called Serving Up Comics, which is umbrellaed under there, and it talks comic book movies, comics like that. And yeah, we're just generally just talking about comics, movies, occasionally video games. But
Nice.
yeah, it's really
Woohoo.
fun. It's on YouTube and SoundCloud and iTunes and all that jazz.
Check it out. It's great.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a fun podcast to listen to for sure. Like it's a good, it's a good what not it's what am I trying to say? It's like
You tell me, man.
a good pairing. That's what I mean. A good pairing with our podcast for sure.
Yeah.
Like a wine pairing. I was trying to say something other
We're the
than like
stinky cheese, and they're the good
right,
wine.
right.
Oh
We're
man.
the the veggie tray, and then that's like the ranch dip that everybody wants to be
The
use.
charcuterie board.
Yeah, it's like
I love
charcuterie
charcuterie
board.
boards. So have you on
Which
any day of the week.
I mean, off the topic, but I mean, I think charcuterie boards are just older people who used to have Lunchables a lot, and now it's just that's what it is.
That's a good
Yeah,
joke. That's a good
I
bit.
think so.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm working on my clean 30 pretty soon.
Yeah,
So
type
Yeah.
5.
my type 5. Yeah.
Josh has been very concerned about this on our own show, but we both noticed that you had a panel over at LA Comic Con last year.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which
Can
that's
you tell us a
crazy.
little?
That's awesome.
Yeah, because like, can you tell us a little bit about it, and also how do we get in on that?
Oh yeah, so we've done a few panels at LA Comic Con throughout the years.
Mhm,
We kind of took a break the last 2 years, but we are back this year,
mhm.
and it was on best film franchises. So I chose James Bond, but
Nice.
yeah,
Mhm.
Lord of the Rings won. And we got some of our
Yes.
friends,
Yes.
some other film critic friends from discussing film, or some of our buddies at like Slash Film, and we
Nice.
we were just debating in front of a live audience, and it was fun.
Oh,
Um, yeah, I could tell you guys how to get the details, how to get in, I guess off camera, but
yeah,
yeah, it was
please.
of course,
I
of
think
course, it
I think it's
was a good time.
Josh's dream is to get on a panel.
Pretty much. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
Brian, you've already had like you
Yeah.
the old G4 stuff. I'm the only one that hasn't been up on the stage, and
Yeah,
I
I've been
mean, that's
mostly for
because I'm a
Nerdist,
normal.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
a
normie.
weird normie, so I'm a
I will tell
muggle.
you, having that little placard, with your name with like,
Yes.
LA, San Diego Comic Con or WonderCon,
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm saving those."
Yeah,
Those go on my desk wherever I work.
Mhm.
it feels like a no prize or something, right?
It is absolutely good.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good inside baseball right there. Well, let's get into the main discussion today, and we're going to talk about it was a book that was chosen by you,
Mhm,
uh, Green Lantern Rebirth.
mhm.
Yeah,
So, why did you pick this one out?
Well, Green Lantern Rebirth is one of the books with Superman, Batman, Public Enemies, Infinite Crisis, and probably Hush, where when I was a kid, when I was like 10 or 11, because I was mainly Marvel. That was probably my go-to when I was a kid. Like, I liked Batman when I was 6 or 7, because everyone likes Batman, or you
yeah,
like
Mhm.
Superman enough. But mainly it was like Marvel, and I would just buy Marvel comics, and I was
mhm,
not interested in DC. But the summer of like 2003, 2004, reading Wizard magazine, like New Frontiers coming out, there was something that I know he gets a lot of flack now, but like Dan Dididu, is that how you
yeah.
say his last?
Did you? Did,
Didio,
Didio?
Didio.
so we were just saying we were going to butcher names, and we're beginning
Yeah.
right now.
I know. Oh, it's alright.
We
Um,
all know who we're talking about.
yeah, he did. I know he gets a lot of controversy, but, like, he did something right to just attract the younger fans and the people that are not as savvy to all the continuity, and, Rebirth was one of those books where, you're reading about it in, like, Wizard magazine, or you, like, kinda see the image of, like, Batman getting punched in the face,
Mhm.
or just kinda, like, just getting excited. They're like a secret history of Parallax, and you kind of know what Parallax is. And it was just one of those films where it's like one of those, excuse me, comic books that was like, yeah,
Mm,
DC comics are cool. These characters are interesting. You could really gravitate towards them. So that was one of the books that kind of made me realize that like Hal Jordan is exciting.
mm,
Yeah, DC in general is like so fun. Yeah.
nice. Well,
Nice.
as I was going to say, as the guest, would you do us the honor of reading the blurb on the back?
Yeah, no, of course. All
You have to
right.
do it in your best, like, trailer voice too.
Yeah, you
That's
do
what we're
Okay.
trailer
trying
voice.
to.
Fine.
Yeah, exactly. It's a thing. It's a thing.
Yeah. Death was only the beginning. Hal Jordan was once regarded as the greatest Green Lantern of them all. High praise considering the intergalactic Green Lantern Corps traced its history back billions of years, but his vast power eventually corrupted him in a failed effort to remake the universe using the nearly unlimited energy of the Lantern's central power battery. He slaughtered his comrades in arms and destroyed the entire corps. After his downfall, Hal vanished only to reappear when the Earth was threatened by a stellar apocalypse. To save his homeworld, he made the ultimate sacrifice, an act that did not go unnoticed in the celestial sphere. Jordan's soul was picked to inhabit the specter, the supernatural embodiment of the wrath of God. In his new form, he turned the astral avenger into a spirit of redemption while seeking a peaceful end to his existence. But fate was not done with Hal Jordan yet. That was my best Peter Cullen.
That was very nice. That was
Part, yeah.
yeah, the Optimus
That-
Prime voice.
He's
That was great.
Optimus, and then he was the announcer for Toonami on
Oh,
Cartoon Network.
right,
So,
yeah.
So it's I could do a
Hearing-
better impression, but yeah.
No, that was great.
Hearing that back though, that is such utter and crazy. Like that is like crazy. Like
Yeah.
in my mind, I'm like, yeah, no, but I'm like, oh my god, this is insane. This
Well,
is
also,
insane.
I love how the blurb in the back gives the whole history before
Yeah.
the book.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
The whole, but it was not done with Hal Jordan yet. Like, okay,
Yeah.
but what's this
Well,
book about?
yeah, it just went through his whole history. Like, he got bad. He came back. He slaughtered friends. He reappeared. He's a specter now, and then now he's back.
To be fair, which is a discussion we're going to talk about in this episode, is like, is this book accessible to non-Green Lantern or to new Green Lantern fans? Like, well, there's no like it's traditional in books to have like that whole like, before this led to this, and then Coast City blew up and blah. It's like none of that's in the book. You have to pick it up through context clues or have read a Green Lantern comic before all this. So
yeah.
I guess in that regard, it does kind of set us up.
Yeah. I mean,
I think it's accessible in, I guess, in a comic book way, right? So it's like, unless you were born in like the 30s or something, for DC, like you'll never be like the first fan to ever read like Green Lantern or whatever.
Well, we'll save that discussion for later. But Josh, you want to go?
So here, some of the little more info about the book. This was published in the months of October in 2004 to about May 2005. Green Lantern Rebirth was a 6-issue miniseries set in the DC universe that restored Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps into prominence. So now, Gene, Brian, what is your guys' history with Green Lanterns? Like, were you a fan before this, or do you have a favorite Green Lantern? I mean, we all know Brian, so we're not going to go with that. But no, that's, I mean, because I have, and then I'll go into like how I felt about this and stuff. But what's your guys' history with it?
Gene, please.
Yeah, sure. So I would say my history before this book was mainly the Justice League cartoon that came out in 2000. Yeah, which was Jon Stewart, and I really do like Jon Stewart. Like he's up there. So that was kind of like he was like my into the Green Lantern mythos and everything through that cartoon, which like Bruce Timm and Paul Dini and Dwayne McDuffie. People don't talk about Dwayne McDuffie enough. They really made Green Lantern just really like approachable. It wasn't like, because it's like, I guess like I would have big notions of Hal Jordan or Kale Rayner because like Hal was on Super Friends, but Green Lantern always seemed kind of like silly, right? He's just making like a boxing glove or like a dinosaur, where John was like, no, this is like a Star Wars like lightsaber, right? He's making all these constructs, and yeah, that was kind of my in, but I did like John a lot, but I think I would have to go with Hal as my favorite Green Lantern, just from like really getting into like New Frontier and all the other comic books. He just really embodies like the fun of the character, right? He's like a test pilot.
Well, and then speaking of like just in the cartoon too, I don't know if did you ever watch the Superman adventure? Yes.
Series.
Yeah, so that's when they first showed Green Lantern, which was like it was Kyle Rayner. It's like what they did with Tim Drake and Jason Todd, where it was named Hal Jordan, but it was Kyle Rayner basically. He was an artist.
No, it was Kyle Rayner, but they make him look like Hal Jordan.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
He doesn't even look like Kyle, but then they retcon him later.
Well, Hal Jordan does show up in that one little cameo when like time is like shifting. I'm up to date or whatever it is.
You know where he also pops up in around that same time? Can you guys guess?
We're talking about the Amazo?
No, he pops up. Yeah, he pops up in the Looney Tunes Duck Dodgers show
Oh, jeez.
when Daffy Duck or Duck Dodgers, I guess that's technically,
Yeah,
he becomes like a Green Lantern,
that's
and
amazing.
Oh, wow.
Kevin Smith voices Hal Jordan.
That's
It's like
amazing.
so random, but yeah, that's the only other Hal cameo
That's great.
at that time. Yeah,
Brian, what about you? What was your history with the Green Lantern? And
It's funny.
fan?
Yeah, I mean, like my history is like it pretty much starts at the end of Hal Jordan's career, right into Emerald Twilight. As I had mentioned, like I kind of got into DC Comics right there during the death of Superman and Nightfall, Emerald Twilight. So like right was when all those characters were kind of getting turned into like new heroes, kind of as I mentioned in the intro to the show. That's when I was kind of getting into all that. So, it's like I saw Hal Jordan for like 2 or 3 issues before I'm like, "Oh, this Kyle kid's the dude, the Green Lantern. Cool. That's my Green Lantern now." You know what I mean? So that was like one of my history. Ironically enough, that was like one of the few comics my dad actually read as a kid. So he's like, "Oh, I actually like Green Lantern." So, I was like, "Okay,
nice.
cool." But yeah, and obviously my favorite Green Lantern is going to be Kyle, just because again, that's where I started reading comics, and he
Mhm.
was Green Lantern for a good 10 years there. So it would make sense that
Yeah,
that's where I would pick that up. And of
yeah.
course, we know the answer for Josh. So we're just going to skip ahead. No, I'm joking. Josh, what about you, man?
No, yeah, right. Well, actually, I think for me though too, it's hard to pick my favorite Green Lantern, but
Bullshit.
no, for real. I know I only just a Hal Jordan stan just to really just
Mess with
poke
me.
you, yeah.
Yeah.
But I've been a fan of like Green Lanterns. I think just like throughout comics,
Mhm.
my reading comics
Ever
career,
since
if
I have
that's even right.
known you. No,
I
ever
don't know.
since I've known you, all the way back to our days, he's like, you've
Right.
been a Green Lantern stan, dude. Like that
Well,
is like it's like you and your Guardians. Like, and I don't mean that in a
I
bad
know,
way. It's
right?
like
No,
it's
no,
like
no.
you Cosmic is you, man.
But you know what's funny enough though? This is the book that put it into high gear, really. This is
Oh,
what started that high gears when I read Rebirth, and I was
okay.
like, okay, I'm in it to because
To win
from
it.
there, like that's where it's kind of like the more the lore started and like he
Mhm.
expanded on excuse me, just the Green Lantern, just mythos and stuff like that. But excuse me, and I've just yeah, but before that though too, I was a fan of Hal, and I mean Guy Gardner is just always just hilarious. Just
He's
Yeah,
great.
he's
He's
like
great.
we haven't
he's a
talked about
dude,
Guy yet.
bro. Um, and from the cartoons too, I did. John Stewart is a great Green Lantern, and just how they depicted him, and just how his attitude and and Kyle is just always fun. Just with even though there's some parts of him, I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But that's just with everybody, and then also Kilowog is pretty
Oh,
freaking
yeah.
awesome.
W
So
no
Yeah.
one's talking about Gnort or Chip or anything
Gnort
like that.
Gnort,
Gnort. I
or
love, yeah, Gnort. I love, like, was it, for the Jeff Johns run? He comes at the very end, they're like, "No, he's not dead."
yeah, it's just like it. That's
Gnort's
what's
such
fun
a
about
silly
the Green
character.
Lantern core though too. It's kind of like it's when anybody like asks me like, hey, I'm just starting to get into comic books, and like what should I be reading, and I'm like, okay, so what like what kind of movies do you like? And if anybody says like sci-fi, I always
Star
throw them
Wars.
to yeah, like if they say
Yeah.
Star Wars, Star Trek, I throw them to Green Lantern, because that's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's that fun variety, like of
Oh,
just so many different types of Green Lanterns and
Yeah.
different
yeah.
characters for each.
Tomar
It's kind of like
Sodom Yad, Abin Sur,
yeah, and
Yeah.
also just like this how the different characters use their ring. Like there's one
Mhm.
character, I can't remember his name, but like his whole thing is like it's in his culture is about strength and just physical, you know, endurance and everything, and he rarely uses his ring
Mm.
out of like of honor, basically.
Hmm.
And when he does use it, it's like a huge like bomb, basically, like of willpower. But he uses it as like he
Last
feels it's a
resort.
crutch.
Mm.
Yeah.
And it's things like that. I just love
Well,
the different aspect. And if you ask anybody in our family too, out of all four brothers, I do like Green Lantern the most. Doesn't matter
Mhm.
who listens to this.
mhm.
If Zach ever talks like says like he thinks he is, he's wrong. It's me. So
Well, it's funny you mentioning real quick the fact that like all the lanterns do something different with their ring, which is something
Mhm.
that comes up in this book, which I
Yeah,
think which we'll we'll
it's one of
we'll
my favorite
discuss.
moments.
Yeah, it's a great moment. I'm going to put this question out to both of you. This is just real quick. How did you guys read this book? Did you read it digitally? Did you read it recently? Did you read it in trade and single issue? Did you read it right when it came out, or did what's real quickly? What's your history with it? And I'll start with you, Gene.
Yeah, so I think, when I was reading it, it was through trade when it already came out,
Okay.
in trade paperback, so I
Mhm.
probably read it, like, a year or so after it came out,
Okay.
and yeah.
Hmm.
What about you, Josh?
I think for me, this is one of those rare ones where I started in the individual issues
Yeah, that is
when
rare.
they came out by month. Like this is one of those rare ones where it was like the sweet spot at the time where I was actually, I had a little bit of money and
Mhm.
I was
Nice.
able to get comics every month.
Mhm.
And so I yeah, this is I had all the issues on this one.
Nice, nice. But yeah, I'm like you on that one, Josh. I think I have the individual issues as well, and then of course, I bought the actually I had the Rebirth trade, but it was like a Hal Jordan Rebirth trade where it was like that plus some of the Green Lantern Core issues and some of the first part
Mhm.
of the run coming out of it. But I actually picked up for like $30 the compendium, which is like
Mm.
1,500 pages, and it's like almost like half the entire run as well as half the run of Green Lantern Core and all that. So like anyway, but I digress. But we should not digress because we need to get into the creative team.
Yeah.
So this is going to be an interesting part of this discussion because we're going to get into some shitty people over the next few minutes. So
Yeah.
buckle up.
Yeah.
Let's start off with the writer. Josh, you want to tackle that?
Yeah, I'm gonna so the writer is Jeff Johns, and he's really predominantly known for his work at DC, where
Yes.
he really infused a lot of his love for like Silver Age stuff and kind of brought them more in the modern era. Like his one of his first big books was the JSA and bringing them
Uh-huh.
back, and then
Uh-huh.
he also had a run with the Flash.
Mhm.
Mostly, he's known for his big Flash run with Wally and bringing the Rogues into more like a predominant spotlight
Mhm.
and just bringing the Rogues characters out a little bit more. And he's known for a lot of Rebirth, but actually, a lot of the 52
Yeah.
uh, other titles were JLA. He's Big Teen Titans, which is another
Uh-huh.
great book that I loved of his. 52. He's one of the main writers of that. Aquaman, Doomsday Clock, The Flash,
Dude.
like I said before, and then Shazam was another one. Like the 52 Shazam was a
Mhm.
big one, and then like a small run of Avengers.
Right.
But right now he's like his own imprint over an Image where he's like kind of creating his own little universe with a Geiger, Redcoat, and Junkyard Joe. And then I think Hyde Street is another one of his books.
Yeah, it's the Hyde Street, and then there's also Rook Exodus and a few other things. Like he's
Yeah.
creating his own kind of
So I
imprint, as it
mean,
were.
so like he was a big with JSA, but I think his Green Lantern book. Oh, he also did a run of Superman of Action Comics,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he
which
did.
is the
He
big
just
one.
he also had Richard Donner with him on that because he was an assistant to Richard Donner back in the
Which I was
day.
about to say. Yeah, he was
Yeah,
he
sorry.
was he was an assistant to Richard Donner at the same time as Kevin Feige.
Yep.
Yeah,
They were
yep.
both assistants around the same time, which is kind of crazy, the
It's
Yeah.
pretty crazy.
trajectory of their careers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
but then
you. I was gonna say real quick, he's also really responsible too for like not only New 52, 52, but also New 52 and
Oh, that's cool.
the second relaunch of DC, which was Rebirth. Like he did the whole Rebirth thing as well.
Yeah.
So he's kind
yeah,
of
that's what I
really
said
angry.
before. Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed it. I apologize, Josh.
no,
I
no
didn't hear
worries.
that. But you were saying, Josh, go ahead.
But also, I mean, he brought JSA to more modern. He added different characters, but I think Green Lantern was the book that really brought him
Yeah.
to the type of writer at the time, that the superstardom, for lack of a
Mhm,
better word, that he was at the
mhm.
time. Um, he brought the Green Lantern Corps to more popularity, and from that like stemmed like more of his JSA stuff. Like he had more
Stars and Stripes.
Stars and
Oh, yeah.
Stripes, and that's like what
That's
kind
based
of
on his
brought him into the
sister,
bigger
I think.
books.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Infinite
He
Crisis too.
Yeah.
I think like his sister is the one that passed away too in the plane
Yeah,
crash.
she's on a
Yeah.
flight 800 or whatever it was, and that flight that went down to Florida or
Yeah,
whatever it was.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because, for a long time, and I've met Jeff once.
Okay.
It was at Comic-Con, and we had him on one of my shows, for Nerdist.
Mhm.
He was very nice. We talked about Doomsday Clock 'cause it was right in the middle of Doomsday Clock, and I was like, "Hey, I have a quick question for you." And is this what this is?" He's like, "Yeah, you got that." I'm like, "Alright, cool." I wasn't sure. He's like, "Yeah, not a people."
I
I
have
was like,
another
"Yeah." He's like, "Not a
question
lot of people
for
got."
you.
Yeah, it's like
I
I was like,
I
"Not a
have
lot of."
a question. Oh, sorry, you go.
I was gonna say, it was just one of those things where he's like, "Yeah, you got that. Not a lot of people got that." I'm like, "Alright, cool."
Well, look
Um,
at you. I was gonna say
I
you probably
know,
asked him, "Why does it take 4 months for a book to come out?"
well, that's that 2 words, Gary Frank.
But
No,
yeah. Is this in continuity or not?
yeah, I don't wanna get into
Yeah.
Doomsday Clock. Doomsday
Yeah,
Clock, I
yeah.
hate to say, it was like one of those things. It started off so well, and then it just, like,
Yeah, it did.
meandered for the second half. I'm like, "What the hell happened?"
It's
Uh,
the
Yeah.
delays is what happened. Is what
Well,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
lost of
it
momentum.
yeah, it confused me in the sense, sorry to talk about it too much,
No.
but it came out during
Have you
at the
been on
same
our show? We
time.
just digress all the
Oh,
time.
yeah, it comes out in the middle of, like, Heroes in Crisis. Heroes in Crisis still hasn't finished, which was
Yeah.
also bad. It has, like, I love Gary Frank, but then, like, all the characters are, like, some of them don't have the appropriate costume that,
Yeah.
Right.
and I'm like, "What's going on here?" But
You run
Yeah.
yeah.
into the same problem with the 3 Jokers too.
Oh,
Mm,
that's a whole other thing, but that
yeah.
as you can see that he's got a lot of praise, but he's got a lot of criticism, and it seems to be,
Yes.
which seems to be the natural tendency for any creator, to be honest.
Mhm.
As we're going to be sticking predominantly to his comic book work in this discussion, we'd be remiss if we didn't discuss some of the other stuff that did happen in his career.
Sure.
Obviously he went on to become like an executive for the DC, EU, or their cinematic universe, I guess is lack of a better word, and that was during the kind of the Snyder era. And of course, that was right when Snyder left, and then I don't know if he was instrumental, but Joss Whedon came in,
Mhm.
found out what piece of shit that guy was, and that led
Yeah.
to some other shit. Josh, I know you kind of want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. So in you, there's been kind of recently too. There's been a little bit more layers that have been peeled away from that era of DC Comics and just kind of
Mhm.
how the environment was around there, especially
Mhm.
under Dan Didio,
Yeah,
Mhm.
and how it was kind of a really
toxic.
Yeah.
toxic place, and like
Mm,
it affected writers like Greg Rucka a lot. And it
yeah.
feels like, just from what we hear from the stuff like just Jeff Johns behind the scenes and things like that, it seems like he was kind of a proponent of that type of, like
Mm,
he really like thrived in it, but also
Mm,
like was adding to it. And
mm,
yeah.
that just kind of is yucky, for lack of a
mhm.
better word.
Yeah,
That's just,
yucky's a good
and
word.
disappointing. Yeah,
Yeah.
and disappointing and yucky, because he was honestly, before a lot of the stuff, he was my one of my favorite writers
He absolutely
of
was,
like
yeah.
of all. Like he, I would he was Mark Wade esque
Yeah.
in my my with the Mount Rushmore, basically.
Yeah.
But then you kind of hear about like the stuff behind the scenes. It's just
With
like,
like Ray
oh, come
Fisher and
on,
all that.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. He really threw him under the bus during the reshoots for Justice League, I believe, from what Ray
Yeah.
has described as well. Yeah.
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 That all said, I will say this though, Snyder fans absolutely hate him. So,
I wonder why.
I
I
don't
don't. Is
know.
that bad or good? Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Snyder fans aren't
So
really a good
that's what I'm
barometer.
saying. Like they absolutely hate him. So
Yeah.
it's like, well, maybe shit.
Which is funny, because that Snyder is like that same type of, in not environment, but just that same vibe as what he
Yeah.
is. People don't like him. Yeah, it's very weird to me.
Mm,
Yeah,
Snyder fans are weird. Nerds are weird.
it's it's funny. Like for me, like Jeff John is like one of those like, can you separate the art from the artist kind of thing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like we had this discussion with Warren Ellis. Like there's certain artists or certain creators that you can be like, you know what, you're not like the figurehead behind this or whatever. Like I can like let some of it go. And there's other people like the person we're about to talk to where I absolutely cannot abide them at all. Let's get into the artist.
yeah.
Ethan Van Sciver. I believe that's how he's pronounced his last name, and that is kind of
Skiver,
the big L.
Skyver.
Skyver. I don't care to learn his last name
Yeah.
because I don't want to look at any interviews with him.
Sure.
I'm sorry if I apologize, but like in my opinion, I'm gonna put this out there right now. I apologize, but this guy's a piece of shit, and so I kind of don't give
Yeah.
a shit. In terms of his art style, though, he has been described as sort of a detailed journeyman artist. He reminds me of a very detailed Phil Jimenez, which
Oh,
Phil Jimenez is
Yeah,
probably
no, that's
what
right.
the
Yeah.
how put me in the same room that guy's
Hmm.
yeah.
but that all said, that's kind of what his art reminds me of. But he is really the prime example of can you separate art from artist? Josh, do you want me to tackle this, or do you want to jump in real quick here?
No, I think you should jump into the Comicsgate part of it, and
Yeah.
yeah, we're gonna be
Yeah,
talking about like Comicsgate and his
his
role in it.
involvement. Yeah,
So I think what really helps us not be on his side is and for some people like this, it's the doubling down. I think it's like
yeah.
Mhm.
some people. I mean, like it's if not
Look, you're not
discredit,
always
but
gonna. I
just
was gonna say, I'll get it. So you're always not gonna. Sorry, Josh. I'm gonna run you over on this one, but like I was gonna say, you're not always gonna agree with all your creators. You're not. Sometimes you
no.
are. Sometimes, but sometimes you can like I said, you can separate certain people from certain things. You're like, okay, whatever. You know what I mean? Like for example, and we brought it up in the discussion before we even started the show. Is like there's certain creators like Chuck Dixon, for example.
Mhm.
Chuck Dixon does not align with me politically at all.
Mhm.
And he makes certain comments here and there, but like overall, though, I like him a lot as a writer, and I'm not going to
Mhm.
be like anti Chuck Dixon.
Yeah.
Um,
Because he's not giving you a lot of opportunities to remind you of why you don't like the doubling down
yeah,
and what
Yeah.
Skyver does is like he keeps reminding you why
Yeah.
you need to separate them.
Yeah.
yeah. As we said, he's part of this. If you don't know, he's part of a group called Comicsgate, which is sort of an alt-right campaign that harasses people behind diversity and progressiveness in comics,
Mhm.
specifically women, people of color, LGBT. Um, and they, whether it's the creators themselves or the characters behind in the stories, they make it their mission to like basically go after people and harass people who like either like them or help create them. He's been very vocal in this community and basically become a figurehead. He's
Mhm.
very critical about any kind of progressive politics or cultural diversity, and any of that kind of that being forced down the throat of consumers. As I've said before, f him and his ignorant opinions. In my opinion, comics have always been about diversity. That is the joy of comics. And yes, they've been kind of whitewashed in the beginning, but as we've grown and realized as a society, you've seen comics grow with it. Um, I'm sorry, I don't mean to rant.
No.
Josh, please take over before I lose my shit.
No, you're good. You're good. Calm down. Hey, so woosa. No, but I 100% agree. The comics is supposed to be an all inclusive, gate open type of hobby and artistry and community. And the more walls you put up for insane reasons like this, it baffles me.
Yeah,
Like it's their
Yeah.
characters that are supposed to help us see the goodness in our society,
yeah,
and that doesn't help when you have ignorance. Like
Mhm.
the ignorance are supposed to be the bad guys, not where
yeah,
you're pushing for the good guys. So
Yeah.
it's what is the problem with having a strong woman, or
person of
a
color.
person of color, LGBT Q plus community member being a forefront of a story? Like
Yeah.
what does that take away? What does that not? It only adds to it. It doesn't take
Mhm.
away stuff. I don't understand that. I
Well,
really
yeah.
don't.
Also,
I'm sorry. So go
oh,
ahead, Gene. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Gene.
Gene, you're a
yeah.
guest on the show, right? So
Oh, sure.
I don't think we should let you talk though. So please.
Oh, well, I was gonna say it's like, well, it's also like it comes from like a place of like it being obviously like a grift, right? Where it's like
Yes.
some of the arguments and fake outrage that they do is like stuff that's not even accurate. Like I
Yeah.
remember, maybe it was through Comicsgate or it could have been like on Fox. I think it was on Fox News, where they were talking about, one, it was, Superman's son, Jonathan Kent,
Mhm.
being bisexual, and then, like, they had it on the news, and then they were like, "They made Superman, like, bisexual," and it's like, "No, it's his son,
Superman's son. Yeah. I mean, he is
Jonathan Kent, who's
Superman, but
also"
yeah.
yeah, but it's
But they
not
want to make it sound like Clark Kent. Yeah.
Superman.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's like, it's coming from a place where I'm like, "Even your argument doesn't make," you know what I mean? It's like,
Right.
this seems to you like, you're not even, like,
No.
you don't even have the facts. You're just like, it's just outrage, right?
Well, it's because it's a good headline. That's the thing is like,
Yeah.
people are gonna
Rage
click
bait.
past it's reach bait. You're not gonna click past the headline. You're just gonna see the headline and make an assumption based on that and go from there. That's the
Mhm.
problem. And that's why one of the things like, this is way off topic, but it's one of the things that I like to do with this show is like provide all the context when we get into this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um one of the things
The
that
anti-comics gate. Huh?
Mhm.
yeah, well, try to be. I mean, honestly, here's the thing. It's like
Yeah.
people are allowed to have different political opinions. I don't care about that. Like, different political views. That's fine. I don't care. It's like I may not agree with you. I'm not going to get. But it's like you said, Josh, to double down and constantly just reiterate this hate and this bigotry and this ignorance. It's like it's mind boggling. It's like, do you realize like comics are about that? You know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah.
what it's about. I wrote down in the notes. And Josh, do you mind if I read this real quick?
No, no, please. I mean, it's what you're reading from is kind of the start of just popular comics. So one of the main people that brought popular comics into light and stuff, and he used that as a platform to show inclusivity.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
in 1968, like Stan Lee, which keep in mind, Stan Lee had his own problems too. It's not like this guy
Yeah.
was like as clean as a whistle.
Right.
He has his own issues,
Mhm.
whether it's the Jack Kirby stuff or, there's
He's,
no, and that's the other thing. It's like no, you don't make heroes out of anybody because we all
Right.
and
yeah.
everybody has their closet.
Yeah. Stan's
Yeah,
Stan's a complicated person.
he's a
Or would
complicated
you
person.
say, yeah.
That said, this message he wrote in 1968, I think, is really kind of what, for me, encapsulates comics. This is a quote from '68 in his Stan Soapbox. Bigotry and racism are among the deadliest social ills plaguing the world today. But unlike a team of costume supervillains, they can't be halted with a punch in the snoot or a zap from a ray gun. The only way to destroy them is to expose them, to reveal them for the insidious evils they really are. The bigot is an unreasoning hater, one who hates blindly, fanatically, indiscriminately. If his hangup is black men, he hates all black men. If a redhead once offended him, he hates all redheads. If some foreigner beat him to a job, he's down on all foreigners. He hates people he's never seen, people he's never known, with equal intensity, with equal venom. Now, we're not trying to say it's unreasonable for one human being to bug another, but although anyone has the right to dislike another individual, it's totally irrational and patently insane to condemn an entire race, to despise an entire nation, to vilify an entire religion. Sooner or later, we must learn to judge each other, not must learn to judge each other on our own merits. Sooner or later, if man is to ever be worthy of his destiny, we must fill our hearts with tolerance. For then and only then can we be truly worthy of the concept that man is created in the image of God, a God who calls us all his children. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
it's preachy, but it's true.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well,
And the
I
guy who
just
created
don't
the X-Men.
yeah, I just don't get, like, how you could, like, grow up on X-Men or, like, Spider-Man, where
Yeah.
it's talking about, like, prejudice and discrimination and be like, end up
That's
that way,
cool,
you know what I mean?
yeah, that's cool that
Yeah.
that prejudice thing, yeah, it's missing the forest for the trees, especially and this is ironic that Ethan Van Sciver worked with Grant Morrison on New X-Men.
Oh,
It's like,
Yeah,
it's like,
which
I
I would
know, yeah.
not
I
wait a
even
would
minute.
imagine the back and forth on that one.
yeah.
I mean, you did mention though earlier before we got on the show that, Gail Simone had I wouldn't
Yeah.
say kind words about him, and which is ironic, but, she had mentioned she had said some things that might have explained some of his past. Is that correct,
Well,
Gene?
yeah, I remember I don't know if it was a tweet or an interview where she talked about, uh, like, probably in the 2000s, so maybe he's on, like, X-Men or something, just kinda
Mm,
him, like, venting to her, right? And just kinda, like, coming off as, like, really, like, insecure and just kinda, like, uh, opening up to this person, about all his issues. So, I guess, one, if this guy is so, like, anti-woman, why like, he at one point,
he wasn't.
he wasn't, so it's like it makes him, like, a hypocrite, but then
Mm,
it's like, too, where it's like, I don't wanna say pity, but a lot of these people where it's like, not excusing their actions, but, they're only hurting themselves.
yeah,
They're only doing this being angry, by, like, uh, being angry at this world that they don't understand is through, like, all this misplaced anger, and it's like, you know, again, they're only hurting themselves. They're doing this
yeah,
to themselves. These aren't really well people in the sense of like,
yeah,
yeah, like there's a better way to go about stuff instead of making like a 5-hour YouTube video on like diversity in comics. You know what I mean?
yeah. Well, on that note, unless anybody do you wanna add anything to that, Josh?
No, I don't like him.
Yeah, I do
he's
pity
skinny.
him. Yeah, I do
Yeah.
pity him. That's sad. It's
Yeah.
sad because, like, and I'm just this again, we're off topic at this point, but who cares? I've mentioned to Josh, it's like I grew up in a pretty conservative like household, and there's a world where I could have easily had gone this way, and it took a lot of like self-reflection and,
Mhm.
looking inward and like really questioning a lot of things to and I like who I am. I like where I've landed in life, and that's not to poo-poo my past or anything like that, but
Mhm.
it's like there's probably, it's very easy for like one little thing to maybe I could have gone this way. Maybe that's what happened to him. And so I feel
Yeah.
bad for him in that regard. That said,
Yeah.
still F him for like, you don't need to get on YouTube and like, well, here we are on YouTube bashing the man. But you don't need to
Right.
like you don't need to do that. But
Also,
anyway.
you feel bad for him until you hear him talk. And you're like,
Yeah.
okay, I don't feel bad for you anymore. Like, I
Yeah.
hate you.
All right. Well, with that all said, there's the creative team. Let's get
Yeah.
into a bit of a brief
Yeah.
history.
I think this is
of-
the most problematic creative team we've had.
Well, maybe there's worse. I don't know.
Well, on a book that we've discussed.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I was going to say,
we've had
We're
to be
up
fair,
there.
one of the two. Like we've had one out of the two, but this is like a 2 for 2.
well,
Okay.
the worst part is like again, he's not a bad artist at all. I know he's got his
Yeah,
detractors.
no.
But the thing is, it's like what is he doing now? He's doing his own little book called Cyber
Cyberfrog.
Frog, which I
Trying
apparently
to
isn't
sell
great.
you a frog.
Yeah, and then on top of that, like he does covers for like Andrew Tate's comic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like
Mhm.
he
He's
could be
taking-
literally just like he could be drawing Superman right now, or he
Yeah.
could be drawing Wolverine or any number of things. It's like, well, you've made your bed, dude. Now you have to lay in it.
Yeah.
Same
You know,
with
go
Jack
kickstart another comic book again.
I was gonna say he's gonna take over from Scott Adams on Dilbert.
Oh, that'd be
gosh.
gosh. That's a good one. All right. Well, let's get into the brief history of the
Yeah,
Green
yeah.
Lantern Corps.
for it.
Josh, you are a Green Lantern stan. I'm not going to presume to jump on this one, so please, by all means, take it.
I will, and again, if anybody asks, I'm way bigger fan than my brother Zachary. So
Okay, that's on the record right now.
that's on the
so
record twice.
That's on the record officially. And let me know when he has his podcast coming out. He's the bigger fan, and then we'll change.
Yeah, well, he just had a baby, so that's why I'm just like poking him. So he's too busy to even listen to this right now, so I don't even know when he'll.
Oh
listen.
no, trust me, he'll be wide awake if it's anything.
that's
that happened
true,
in
yeah.
UK, he'll be wide awake.
Yeah. But yeah, so just a brief history of the Green Lantern Corps. So the Green Lantern Corps is basically like the intergalactic space cop agency. The universe is divided up into like 3,600 different sectors, and each sector usually has about 1 or 2 sectors. Like our sector is
Green Lanterns per sector.
yeah, excuse me. 1 or 2 Green Lanterns per sector, and our sector number is 2814.
Mhm.
And there's like even like the dark sector where people like the what is it, the elephant graveyard from Lion King. It's like that
Yeah.
version of it for the Green
Yeah,
Lantern Corps. where you
sector
don't go.
3955 or 3599.
Yeah, and that's what kind of like what makes Earth kind of like the or our sector kind of like one of the outliers is that we have 4 different Green Lanterns, so that's an overkill. But and so each green excuse me, and actually, so it started off like with these beings called the Guardians, and they first made these robots that were kind of like manhunters, called manhunter, and then they policed the universe. They were a little bit too I can't even talk.
Totalitarian, dude.
Yeah.
You got it, baby.
Yeah, and then so that didn't work. And they're like, oops. So what are we missing? We're missing the human element. So let's give them like one of the most powerful weapons in the universe, which is the power ring. And the power ring basically makes light constructs out of the Green Lantern's will. Anything in their mind that they can think of, they can make from this ring, as long as they have enough willpower to do it and enough power charged up in the ring. It lasts about 24 hours, and they can recharge it though when they kind of place into their own literal Green Lantern, and they have to recite the famous oath of in brightest day, in blackest night, no evil shall escape my sight. Let those who worship evil's might beware my power, Green Lantern's light.
To be fair, that's pretty good that you could do that. Ollie Oliver Queen, who hung out with Hal Jordan for years on the road, couldn't
Yeah.
remember that.
Yeah, I know. But to be also honest, it's Oliver Queen. Like
Yeah, he
true.
doesn't care.
he's had a little bit too many let's just say 70s rallies to maybe remember anything. But
Ollie.
so and then I think I'm not sure when this ended specifically, but the one of the big weaknesses, because of course every superhero needs a weakness, is
Yeah, of
the
course.
color yellow, which they call the
Yeah.
yellow impurity. And
Yep.
it's from the beginning of the book that the ring had a yellow impurity that was like they were unable to affect anything with that color. And I mean, it's been retconned a bunch of times.
Why was
why? But we kind of get that definitive answer in this book, which we'll talk about. And then all that has nothing to do with the original Green Lantern, the Golden Age Green Lantern, which is Alan Scott,
Mm.
who's actually his ring. First of all, he's a Gotham hero, which is amazing.
Oh, he's created by Bill Finger. He was created by the guy
Bill
who created
Finger,
Batman. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's also canon that he's like a big influence of Batman. And his ring is magical, and it has nothing to do with the Green Lantern Corps.
No.
And its
weakness was wood, I believe.
Wood, yeah.
Yeah,
his weakness was
actually.
wood. Which, yeah, there's not a lot of wood around, so that's good. But I mean, talking about that yellow impurity thing, I think what's that famous issue of Green Lantern? It's like how like Green Lantern versus the Sign. It was like a big billboard that was yellow.
It's so funny you should say that, because do you know that meme, Gene?
No, I don't.
So so when they not retcon, but when they did like Hal at Post Crisis, when they redid Hal's origin, it's called Emerald Twilight, and it's when he gets the ring, and literally he's like, the last scene is like, there's that evil sign that like caused me to like have a car accident because I was drunk driving. I'm gonna take it out, and he hits the yellow sign, just knocks him out.
Yeah,
I was gonna say that I remember Emerald Twilight just because the whole thing is like Hal was like a drunk driver, which was like,
dude,
so
that's the one thing I
weird.
yeah, we're gonna get into a little bit of that, because man, I will tell you, this book, like the John's run, retcons so much of that out of existence.
Okay.
Like it's crazy.
I think one thing about John's like his books, he definitely is good at the pedestal. Whoever he's
Yes.
writing about, he puts him on a very good pedestal.
Except Batman.
Well,
he doesn't write about Batman. Batman's not,
Batman's like, yeah.
Batman's a side character. It's not his book. Yeah, I mean, that's just general the Green Lantern Corps.
Yeah,
that's just general Green Lantern Corps. Now, it's Brian. Let's talk about the most famous and the best, and everybody aspires to Green Lantern of Hal Jordan.
So, Gene, how much do you know of like Hal Jordan in his past, kind of going into this book? What's kind of your recollection of him, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh yeah, so I mean, off the cuff, I know that Hal, going back and reading like Judgment Night and some of the Parallax stuff, he gets corrupted by he becomes Parallax. At that time, Parallax wasn't a parasite; it was just whatever persona he adopted, kind of like Malice or something, right? For Invisible Woman, and then he
good
gets
analogy.
defeated. He dies. He becomes Spectre, and then he helps as Parallax, he dies because he restarts the sun because the sun dies, and then he becomes Spectre, and then he just kind of chills as Spectre for a while.
Yeah, so those are kind of the broad strokes of it. Yeah, as you kind of said, Hal Jordan is sort of like, he's a test pilot who, in the Emerald Twilight thing, he's literally driving a simulator when Abin Sur, who is the Green Lantern of our sector, crash lands on Earth. Which, by the way, I love that Abin Sur, they all can fly with their flight rings in space and like go at warp speed, but Abin Sur is flying a ship for some reason, which has been
retconned.
It had been retconned several times, by Johns, Alan Moore. I mean, like everybody's kind of talked to there. But literally, he grabs Hal, who's in a simulator, not even flying a plane. He's flying a simulator, drags him over. He's like, "You have great power. Take my ring. I'm dying. You are now space cop of this area." That's basically what happens there. And he does that for years, like from like the 60s into the 70s into the 80s into the 90s. He's a space cop. We get other kind of iterations of the Green Lantern. You get John Stewart, you got Guy Gardner, you get like a few other people as well. But around, he kind of quits and comes back. He becomes an insurance salesman. Like, I'm not joking. This is all stuff that he
Oh
actually did.
no. Oh
He
god.
hits the road with Ollie, aka
Oh yeah.
Green Arrow, and they're hard traveling heroes is what it's called, and they're just
Mhm.
like dealing with societal issues. And actually, it's really good. Like the whole like it's a little on the nose, but it's really good.
Yeah.
Where it's like literally they're on the road, like, oh wow, these black people are being oppressed because of
Mhm.
billionaires and oligarchs, stuff like that. It's still for 70s comics. It's pretty progressive. That's the fun with the famous Speedy scene, which is
Yeah, he's a junkie.
he's a junkie, yeah,
Yeah.
which is, Oliver Queen's sidekick is find out he's, like, hooked on heroin.
Mhm.
Anyway, so you get to the '90s, and they restart the Green Lantern book, and they give Hal Jordan grayed temples a la, like, the Reed Richards, grayed hair on the side of his head. It's kinda weird, it's a choice, but sure, whatever. It goes on for about 40, 45 issues before they're like, you know what? This Hal Jordan guy, he kind of sucks. Like, he's just old. And DC's like, let's off him. We've already off
Mhm.
Superman. We've already broken Batman's back. We kind of faked out everyone with bringing back Barry. We've got Artemis as, Wonder. It's like they're cleaning house over at DC trying to get us new heroes. And they're like, let's just get rid of this Hal Jordan guy and we're going to replace him with Kyle Rayner. Well, to do that, they are like, let's have Coast City, which is his home, basically San Francisco or Palo Alto or whatever, is destroyed by Cyborg, Superman, and Mongol. And Josh, if I'm getting any of this wrong, please jump in.
No, you're right. You're right. And what's even the worst part about it was that it was part of like the Superman
The
storyline.
return,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's not
it was a
even
return.
Green
Yeah, it's
Lantern.
return. Yeah, it was Green Lantern 46, which is funny because like that issue like was really rare at the time. But then I literally found 2 or 3 of them in the dollar bin just the other day. I
Yeah.
bought one. I bought one. It's like a reread because it's not really collected anywhere unless you're buying the Superman trades. So anyway, yeah, the Mongol and Cyborg Superman, like this is the return of Superman. They destroy Coast City and wipe out everyone. And needless to say, Hal goes a little crazy. He
Just a
tries to
little bit.
basically just a little bit. He tries to basically reconstruct all of Coast City using his power ring, and of course, noticeably, it runs out of energy with him. Like you said, you have a 24-hour window with that. And the Guardians of the, was the Guardians of the Universe? What were they called?
Gar
Yeah, yeah.
I
I
think
think
they're
they're
just called the Guardians.
Okay,
yeah, they're just the
the
Guardians.
Okay, the
Yeah.
Guardians are just like, "You are using your ring for personal gain. You're not doing this. You're on reprimand." And he's just like, "Are you serious? Are you serious? Like my whole home got destroyed. You're gonna slap me with a reprimand?" He's all, "The hell with this. I'm gonna go. I'm going to Oa, which is the home planet that they are, and I'm gonna take all your energy and I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna rebuild my home because to hell with you guys." On the way, they send like Kilowog and Tomar Ray. They send a bunch of Green Lanterns to stop him. He's like, "Oh no, no, no!" And he like either knocks them out or cuts their hands off and starts taking their rings, basically. And there's just this great scene. I think it's Green Lantern 49 where he literally is just looking maniacally into like into the camera, for lack of a better word, with all the rings on his fingers. And it's like, oh yeah, Hal's lost it.
Mhm.
Hal's
Yeah,
total. He's
it's like a famous image of his. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Which is funny because the issue right before, which is kind of goes into the retconning, like the issue right before 48 is when this all begins, where he like this is his descent into madness, and he's talking to his father, who's like a construct that he's created,
Yeah.
part of the fake Coast City, and his dad's like, "Yeah, I don't care about." It was really like shitty to him, just like whatever, dude. Like his dad his version of his dad in this is just like, whatever, dude. I don't care about you, man. You were never my favorite son. Kind of like it's that kind of attitude that Hal has projected, which is funny because in this comic, when they bring Hal, like they bring like the memories of his father back, it's like total hero worship thing kind of going
Mhm.
on here. But I
Yeah,
digress.
I was gonna ask if the Hal's dad before New Frontier, was he like a pilot or was
Yeah, he
that like
was.
He was a
No,
pilot,
okay.
yeah.
he was a
Okay.
pilot. Yeah.
That's
So
his jacket that he wears.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay. So
So
it was always like that. He
yeah,
was
so
yeah.
yeah, in Emerald Twilight, you find out like his dad was a pilot. And while they're watching him do test runs, he gets the warning like, "You need to abort this. You need to abort." It's like, "Oh, I can land it." And they're like, "Dude, you need to eject." He's like, "This is a $15 million plane. I'm not the kind of guy who would like just abandon it." And blows it up on the launch, but just, like, just obliterates it right in front of his kids, like just right there in front of his wife and
Yeah.
kids. Which is funny because then in like John's retcons, he's like, "Yeah, he saved us all by crying."
Yeah.
It's like, no,
Yeah.
you should have
He
just
also
pulled each.
Yeah,
Go
he
ahead.
also retconned it where it wasn't Hal's dad that was saying that. It was Carol Fenris's or dad that was
Yeah,
saying like, "You're not gonna. This is fine. It's a $15 million plane."
yeah,
Mhm.
it's ridiculous. So anyway, yeah. So at this point, Hal, he's going off to Oa. He's killing Green Lanterns left and right, and like the Guardians are like, okay, we're gonna release Sinestro out of the power core because they've held him there in a prison. Sinestro being one of like Hal's old enemies, like you're gonna fight Hal and like stop him because we can't. And Hal just like f's him up and breaks his neck. It's like, yeah,
Yep.
that's it. And at that point, he just like he then goes into the power battery, absorbs it all, and he's like, and I'm now Parallax and
Mhm.
I'm gonna just fix everything and flies off. Because that's this whole thing is like, I gotta fix everything. I gotta return it to the way it was, which is a kind of an interesting theme that kind of recurs in this book. I'm gonna fix everything and return it to
Mhm.
the way it was. With that happening, he's off into the Guardian versus Parallax. You get like one last Guardian who lives, Hal's onslaught on Oa, and he's able to construct the last ring and give it to Kyle Rayner, who's just this kid walking out of a bar,
Yeah.
yeah, and he's like, yeah, I guess I'll take what is this again?" So
Mhm.
Kyle Rayner becomes like basically the only Green Lantern for about 10 years. And like unlike
Yeah.
Hal, I think he doesn't have to does he have to I don't think it's to recharge his ring. Or does
No,
he?
Mm-mm.
he's I think he does. He just doesn't have
He
the
doesn't have the yellow
vulnerability.
impurity. Yeah,
Yeah, he doesn't
Yeah.
he
have
doesn't
that.
have the flood. He runs into Hal a couple times over the course of the few years. Like he one time gives the ring back to Hal and realizes that was a mistake and manages to knock him out and get it back. And they box a couple times. And Hal's like completely Looney Tunes. Like you said, he's gonna fix everything. And that leads into like 0 Hour, which was when DC tried to retcon themselves post-crisis and like update all their characters again. And like he's still like, I'm gonna go back in time and fix Coast City and bring it back. This all leads eventually to the final night, which is the Earth's sun is eaten by something called the Sun Eater, and like, oh well, we're all toast. It's the Earth is freezing over, and Hal manages to like separate himself from the insanity that is Parallax. And keep in mind, Kyle Rayner is actually the one who like cues him in on this. He like goes and like, dude, you need to help us with this. We're gonna die. You can do this. You can help us. And also, on top of that, he had just killed Cyborg Superman, so he was like, "All right, well, my mission of revenge is over, so sure, yeah, I'll go do this." And he basically
Yeah.
flies and ignites the sun, and he dies a hero. And hopefully, honestly, from the IRL side, DC is hoping this will shut the DC fans up because DC fans have been pissed for the last like 6, 7 years. Like, dude, just we want Hal back. We want Hal back. Like, you're not getting Hal. Shut up. So they kill him off in Final Night as a hero. DC fans aren't like buying it.
Yeah.
So this leads us to an event called Day of Judgment, which is where
Mhm.
the original person who was the Spectre, which is literally the God's vengeance, you know, his Jim Corrigan, he eventually actually goes to heaven, and the Spectre itself needs to bond itself to a soul. And the demon is involved with this. When I say demon, I mean Etrigan, the demon, is
Yep.
involved with like some shenanigans. Long story short is they eventually bond the Spectre to Hal Jordan's soul. And they're like, cool, this will shut the DC fans up. We've got Hal Jordan as the Spectre. He's back in the DC universe and he's doing some good. Well, you shut up about it now. Do you think the DC fans shut up? No, they were
Mm.
still pissed. Like, we want our Hal Jordan back. That eventually leads us all to where we are now, which is Green Lantern Rebirth. I think that's a pretty good synopsis, right, Josh?
I think that's a very lengthy synopsis, which is great. That's what we needed for this one too, because this is all the information that you don't get before Rebirth. So this is like
Mhm.
that's a great yeah, it's a great encompassing of his history. And when you're talking about it too, if you think about it, like Sinestro, it's like the reverse Flash of Hal Jordan. If just kind of help me go down this road. And Barry Allen also broke um the Eobard's neck
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
as well, like his reverse. So it was just
Yeah.
kind of those, and though what is it? Green Lantern and Flash. It's like Brave and the Bold.
Yeah,
One of
Brave and the
them.
Bold. Yep, yeah, it's
Yeah.
Brave and the
So
Bold.
it's just kind of that kind of duality, or the parallels right there with like, I guess we like to break necks.
Yeah, well, I mean, look at what Wonder Woman did to Maxwell Lord. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That
yeah.
too. Oh gosh, yes.
Superman, Man of Steel, the neck
Superman Man of
snapping.
Steel.
Oh
That's true too.
goodness, that's a whole other episode.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about that.
You,
Don't get me any more angry, there, Gene. This
oh,
is just.
Sorry.
I actually do have a question for the both of you. It's funny because, like, when Barry Allen died as a hero in Crisis on Infinite Earths, running so fast he ran himself to dust, and like Wally took over. Fans, I'm sure some fans were kind of pissed off about it, but overall, fans seem to embrace Wally. And Wally had a good
Mhm,
20, 30 years before they brought Barry Allen back by the same kind of creative team. Ironically enough,
Yeah.
mhm.
why do you think it was that Wally was accepted? I think I know the answer, but I'm bringing it to both of you. Why do you think Wally was accepted and Kyle wasn't? And
I
and
think
and not
Well
only just
well
Kyle, but like a lot of these other heroes. Gene, please.
well, yeah, I guess, like, Kyle, like, wasn't, like, Kyle's sidekick at any point. He was just
Yeah.
right.
I do like Kyle, but he was just kind of like a random guy, and then,
I think
Walt
Sinestro refers to him as an alley rat.
Yeah.
yeah, he's very like Aladdin. But yeah, I was gonna say, like, Wally was Kid Flash, so he, like, grew up with
Yeah.
Barry, so it was, like, kind of passing the torch, whereas, like,
I was
Kyle
just
was
gonna say
almost
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's more of a
And so
passing the torch situation than a random replacement.
yeah.
so it's nothing to do with Barry Allen just being like Wonder Bread and Wally actually having personality, or
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
well, speaking of
Yeah, it's
other
the reverse of
characters,
that with
yeah,
Hal Jordan
yeah,
and Kyle Reed.
I disagree with you 100%. And if nothing else, Kyle is responsible for giving us Gail Simone. Just putting it
Mhm.
out there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, the
That's all.
character Kyle Rayner is the reason why we
Yeah.
have Gail Simone.
Yeah, he
there's
gives
like,
you
thanks, women in fridges. And that's
yeah, I
why
was
we
gonna
have.
say, dude, Kyle has been through a lot. That's a I went back, even though that's a kind of like a problematic thing for
Oh, it's
sure.
very problematic. Yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah, but I'm like, that's really disturbing. That was like, what the hell? Like,
Well,
uh,
it's so funny.
this is like
I
It's a
Adam
just,
comic
Seven.
meme. It's a comic meme. It's
Yeah,
as
yeah.
literal like, it's like
but this
the,
is this is like a scene out of like a David Fichtner movie. You know what I mean? Like, what's this doing
yeah.
here?
It's
Like
like
not
synonymous with like the nuke the fridge, but now it's like,
yeah,
it's
Gail Simone was absolutely right. Like using women
yeah,
as like just like pieces for a character to grow. I mean, specifically a man to grow. I mean, like, yeah, it's like whatever. I was gonna
yeah.
say though, it's funny because like, I read through all those recent, those Kyle Rayner trades that Ron Mars did. And he
Mhm.
doesn't specifically call out that moment, but like in the afterword to the first volume, he's like, yeah, we all made like Kyle, we also made mistakes. We were learning as we went. And I was like, yep, he's
Yeah.
talking about that.
Yeah, I do. I've like I got to interview Ron once, and he's a really well-meaning guy. So like
Yeah, I mean, like, look, I'm not trying to dismiss the fact that it
no,
happened. It is a problematic
yeah.
issue, but it's like, look,
At
you're not a
least
first time writer, but you're like, you are learning as you go, and it's like it is a trope for a reason. It's a bad trope. I'm glad it's a
yeah,
trope we're trying to do away with. You know what I mean?
at least yeah. I guess at least he tried to like address it or like
Yeah,
come like accept responsibility for it.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, now that we're talking about Kyle, let's kind of just introduce him a little bit more because there's a couple major players that are in this book as well, other than Hal Jordan.
Mhm,
And I guess like we've said, like the first kind of person you see is Kyle Rayner, and
Mhm.
now Brian, explain more of like Kyle's character on this one,
I
other
mean,
than
I'll make it
getting his girlfriend in the fridge and all
yeah,
that
for
stuff.
finding his
Yeah.
girlfriend. No, he was an artist, and yeah, he was literally just a dude who happened. And actually, I think in continuity, Guy was offered the ring first, and Guy was like, "Piss off, I don't want it." Like they retconned it to be that Guy was offered the ring by Gannett, but
Mm,
or
can't
Gaunthet. I can't Ganthet, thank you.
Gaffer.
And yeah, and he was like, "Nah, I'm good." And so he found like this kid's literally coming out of a bar after being in the club, and he's like, here's a ring. You're gonna go fight evil. Bye. And
mhm.
like this artist kid who's like literally living on his ex-girlfriend's couch is like, what the hell? And from there though, you talk about a growth of character, and this is one of the reasons I really like him is he's essentially the super Spider-Man thing where it's like he's a kid who's like had something thrust on him, power and responsibility thrust on him. And not only that, he actually lives in a real city. He lives in the city of LA. It's not Coast City, it's not Metropolis, not whatever. It's like, no, this is straight up, he lives, I think, in North Hollywood actually.
Yeah.
you know
Mhm.
um
Yeah.
yeah, and he's got this thing thrust on him, and he has to grow from like this like wet green behind the ears, you know, selfish kid into like a full-fledged hero that and that's what I always liked about him. There was an actual arc of character there. But that's kind of him, the long and short of it, unless you got something you want to
Yeah.
add, Josh.
Yeah, no, and I think he has had the problem that not a lot or some of the replacement, people have had where I don't think he's ever been able to get out of Hal's shadow.
Never,
Mhm.
ever.
So
And
I think
even
he
yeah, it's
so
yeah, you're
they've been
absolutely right.
trying to they've been trying though, like whatever they can, and they've done some stuff that has been like you said, has like grown his character, has made him like he was the first White Lantern, which is
Yeah,
Yeah,
Ion and
Ion.
Ion, and then also he had a really
Bl
cool run on the Omega Men, that
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Early Tom King book. So they've done everything they can. He just can't, like, funny enough, he can't be he can't find that light outside of Hal's shadow.
Well,
Yeah.
and it's funny. It just reminded me you saying that was like we talked about this briefly. It's like he is the ultimate rebound girlfriend. You know what I mean? Or
Mhm.
boyfriend, I guess.
Yeah.
It's like he's just like it's like yeah, it's like that first girlfriend or boyfriend you get after a relationship, and you know that you're like, oh man, I'm just a rebound. It doesn't matter how long you stay with me. I'm always going to be living in your ex's shadow. You know what I mean? He
Yeah.
is, and he knows it, and that's the sad part. I feel bad for him in that
Yeah.
regard.
I think that what differentiates him from all the other replacement lanterns, which we'll talk more about, his his personality isn't as big as Hal
Yeah.
Jordan or the other
No.
2,
Yeah.
and I think that's what, uh, is detrimental of him getting out of the shadow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. He seems a little bit more passive. I guess is a good way to look at it. I mean, he's an artist.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. 'Cause I was gonna say, like, all the Lanterns, like, when they joined the Justice League, it's like Guy Gardner's like, "Fuck you, Batman."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or, like, John Stewart, maybe to extent, is also like, "Screw you guys," and then, like, Kyle's like, "Oh, I think I'm gonna listen to Batman."
Yeah. Oh, I think also
I
just
think he makes a few good points.
Yeah, and it was funny too. I mean, John and Guy are much like Hal, where they basically throw the middle finger up to authority,
Yeah.
and Kyle doesn't too much because Kyle has, he, uh, uh, he hasn't had a reason to go against the authority because the authority is there to help him. Where it's instead of like much though how Guy and John work to society and just just the Guardians too, because the Guardians are they don't have a lot of personality either, and they're
No.
very like black and white type of
No, they're actually blue. Hey,
Yeah.
views of
Yeah.
justice, and like Guy, Hal, and John are just like, no, there's much different ways of thinking about this, or like I don't you are not right. I'm gonna do whatever I want. And then Kyle kind of goes with the flow a little bit more than they do. And I think
Yeah.
that
well,
it's again that doesn't help him go
Yeah.
as big as the other three.
I think he's,
well,
like, also
let's.
younger, right, too? Like,
Yeah,
he's
he
Yeah,
is.
he's
He
younger
is.
much
when he
younger.
He's
takes
Yeah.
over.
yeah,
He's a
he's
baby.
low 20. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, we keep talking about Guy and John and Ganthet. Gaunthet. I can't pronounce that
Got that.
name.
Ganthet, yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about John Stewart, then talk about Guy, and then get into Ganthet, and then let's get into the book. Do you want to tackle? Does anybody, who wants to? You want to talk some John Stewart, Gene? You're a John Stewart
Yeah,
man. We kind of
you
brought talk.
mentioned him first, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so, yeah, I believe that John is the first replacement Green Lantern technically, right?
No, Guy
Guy
was his
is.
backup. Guy was
Okay,
the original, but he's
okay,
the
Guy
third.
he's the
He's the
3rd,
third
okay.
black main superhero in DC Comics. I know that he was
Okay,
pretty early on. He was
yeah,
introduced during the heart traveling heroes arc where it's Guy or Ollie and Hal on the road.
mhm,
And yeah. Originally, I think he was like an architect, and then they retconned that
yep,
to be he's a
he's a
marine or something
Marine.
like that.
He's a
Yeah,
Marine architect.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
But
hell of a combo there.
yeah, but yeah, I believe John. Yeah, so yeah, John's third. He has served in the Justice League. He's kind of like such a unique character in just like how he uses the ring because it's very like
Mhm.
structurally he has to make it. But he
Yeah.
also has, and I don't think it's been retconned yet, where it's like his actions accidentally. I don't think he's directly involved, but it ends up a planet's destroyed, right?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
believe he's haunted by
Zanchi.
the.
Yeah. But it
Zanchi.
wasn't it was never really his fault. It's like he was kind of, like, set up to fail because it's like there was, like, a bomb that was all
Well,
yellow, and he couldn't get over the yellow impurity, right?
it was more of just it was by like an avatar of like the anti-life equation,
Mm.
and he failed to prevent it, like you were saying. So that was just kind of like
Oh, that's right,
he,
because it was in Cosmic Odyssey, right?
Yes, Cosmic
Yeah.
Odyssey, and
Okay.
So you're saying like he didn't phoenix it and just eat a planet of 8 billion people?
yeah,
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
much.
Yeah.
He's like you said, he's a lot of people's like, as you said, like a lot of people's introduction to Green Lantern,
Mhm.
he was there first because of the Justice League cartoon, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Real quickly, Josh, you want to talk about Guy Gardner and specifically where he is at this point in the story?
Yeah, like we mentioned, Guy Gardner is the first replacement as um to Hal Jordan, and he comes from a family of cops, and he is very much like the dude bro frat guy kind of jerk. I don't care what you say. I'm gonna do what I want and then make fun of you while I do it. And Green Lantern. I'm a Green Lantern, and um, who are you? But in this part of at this time of the story, he's lost the ring, and then
Yep.
he's found out that he has some like alien DNA or
Voldarian.
Voldarian,
Yeah. Becomes
which is like a
warrior.
and becomes like a yeah, he becomes a warrior, which he kind of like the best way to describe it. I mean, this is gonna go like layer of like
Random
yeah, exactly. He's like random from the
from
X Men,
X
where he's
Factor.
like X Factor, X Men, a mutant where he just basically makes like guns out of his body from it, and then with
So
that
his
so he,
body is the ring, basically.
Yeah.
yeah like less powerful and just more like
Yeah.
shooty, not anything else. And then so he's also just not so much a hero anymore, and he has his own bar, which is kind of like
Warriors.
a yeah, Warriors, which is a the hangout spot at the time. But he's known for the bowl cut, and he was in the Superman movie, the latest
Yes.
Yep.
Superman movie, which I
Nathan
mean,
Perfect
Fillion.
casting.
exactly, which is funny because Nathan Fillion is normally the voice
Hal
or like known for Hal Jordan. So
Yeah.
it's funny that he played Guy Gardner and he played him pretty perfectly.
Mhm.
he
Um,
a younger Nathan Fillion could have played Hal Jordan easily.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, if we're talking Firefly era Nathan Fillion,
Yeah.
that's where a lot of people got it from, and but,
Yeah. Well
um
well, I was gonna say Kyle Chandler, the guy who's
Kyle
playing him,
Chandler, I know
he's
his
like
play
yeah.
$60.
Hal
Oh, that's
Jordan.
true.
So, like,
That's very
Nathan
true.
Fillion could have played him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true.
Yeah.
Well, briefly, get into Ganthet, and then let's get into the book, Josh, if you don't mind.
Yeah, Ganthet is the surviving guardian that you talked about that gave, Kyle, the ring, and it became just kind of his mentor. So, like, another another, like, Marvel kinda parallel is, like, so if you think of, Kyle, um, at the end of the whole destruction of the core, like, think of it as like Nova at the beginning of Annihilation, where
Mhm.
Yes,
like
it's a good
he
parallel.
got all this power, like basically of the Green Lantern Corps, and then Nova had World Mind helping out, and then Kyle has Ganthet helping him out. And
Yeah.
Ganthet is still a guardian of the universe. He's one of the it's a very old race who
He's more like one of the more progressives
oh
of the
yes, he's
Guardians.
he's one of the most like he actually has like some emotions, which is kind of the thing.
Yeah.
And he's helped some of the voice of reason, but he's also very, very powerful. The
Yeah.
Guardians of the Universe are one of the most powerful races,
Well, as we find out
in DC.
in this issue, in these 6 issues too, later on.
Yeah, but I mean, w they're Guardians are the ones who created the Green Lantern Corps, the Manhunters, and then,
Mhm.
were able to tap into the emotional spectrum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything you'd like to add, Gene, or do you, wanna get into it?
No, we could get into it. I think
Alright.
Josh explained it pretty well, and yeah, you guys were breaking
Yeah.
down the lore.
Oh,
It's
sorry,
a lot of lore.
but for one a couple things too, like, what
Sure.
just talking about, like, the cartoon like, I think the cartoons have gotten the Green Lanterns done very well, like,
Mhm.
Mhm.
the use of, like, Jon Stewart not having a mask compared to the other Green Lanterns, and especially being, a black superhero with
Mhm.
no mask,
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah. Well
so
well, yeah, I
amazing.
believe it's yeah, John for John, I believe the explanation, he probably says it in the comic or in the show. He's not trying to hide who he is,
Right.
right? He doesn't like
Right, which
yeah.
which is great, for his character, and just, one of my favorite, like, Guy Gardner moments in, um just like the other than the One Punch, but
Yeah.
um it's in the Young Justice cartoon where they're trying to talk about different
Oh,
people to add to the Justice League.
yeah.
And then some it was like Barry Allen was just like, well, we can always use more firepower. So why there's another Green Lantern, right? And they're like, no. And Guy
Immediately.
Gardner's like, no. Yeah, both John and
Immediate.
Hal like immediately don't even let him finish the sentence. So
Yeah.
so it's just kind of like one of those like if you know you know moments.
Mhm.
That's funny.
But yeah, let's get into the actual book, that we're talking about.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's do issue one. Blackest Night. We basically, the long and short is we meet all the main characters of the series. You've got Hal as the Spectre, Kyle as the current GL, Guy Gardner and his alien DNA powers with Jon Stewart are going to a baseball game. Carol Ferris, who's Hal's former lady friend, and she's heading down to her broken down Ferris aircraft, which is her airfield that she owns or her dad owned. The issue starts off with Kyle crash landing on Earth with a message saying it has a name. We don't know what that is. We just know that it has a name. It's Parallax for cheap sheets. Guy Gardner's alien powers go berserk, like just like blowing up his bar, if I recall. Is that correct, Josh?
Yeah, and this happens after basically Hal meets John and Guy at a baseball game.
The baseball game, yeah.
Yeah.
Which the Spectre's powers kind of go berserk, and everyone just starts revealing their sins to Hal, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Yep, I'm out. I'm out."
Or guy's like, I cheated on my taxes.
With taxes,
So
which is
funny.
great.
That
It's so
Aversa,
good.
yeah.
100% Guy Gardner too.
Oh
Yeah.
This eventually leads to Ollie hanging out with his current version of Speedy when the Black Hand breaks into his like little cave and tries to steal the Green Lantern ring, excuse me. And the Spectre, Hal, show up and actually absolutely just wrecks Black Hand. Just like literally just takes his hand off. Which is they're setting up for later on. That's all set up for later on. JLA, Batman, realizes they've got a hell problem. Hal's causing problems because Coast City is suddenly being rebuilt with all of the streets and Hal's old apartment for some reason. This ends basically with Carol Ferris heading to her airbase and seeing that it's been restored. And Hal's like, they're all, Joe Cipriani, like, how you doing? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Basically, that's
she's
the
married.
first issue. Yeah, she is. But it's a bunch of setup. We're setting up all the characters and all the pieces right now. Some of the questions I have for both of you is first off, I got to ask this question. Is Batman like an asshole, like completely out of line in this, or is his attitude justified? Because he is a complete dick in this issue. Is it just me?
No, I feel like he's kind of justified in like just the 2000s Batman, Morrison, uh, identity crisis Batman of like him being like not trusting of people and their intentions for the
Yeah, I guess
reasons
so.
just
And
kind of
it's
going off of that. He's ultra paranoid during the 2000s, you know?
That's fair.
I agree, but and also, I mean, Hal wasn't wasn't a good guy the last time we really saw him.
No.
So,
Yeah. No.
in and they've always had some friction too.
Beef,
So
yeah.
they even talk about it. It's like the man without fear against the man who weaponizes fear. So
Mhm.
and darkness and light, like it's a different kind of dynamic than the darkness and light of him and Superman. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
there's a different light, and Batman's ego doesn't have enough room for Hal Jordan's arrogance or
Yeah.
his ego too. So they
Mhm.
clash all the time as well. So it's semi justified, but also, I mean,
I just found him to be a little out of character. He was like overly
Yeah.
asshole. Like he was
Yeah.
overly dick face. I was like, seriously, Bats? Like, I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
and it wasn't just this issue. This happens like recurs throughout the series. And it's just like,
Yep.
I got the impression, this is just me, that Jeff Johns just did not like Batman. That was just like, that was
Yeah.
like how I felt when I was reading this.
Yeah. Well, it's also I feel like you can't write Batman after reading 3 Jokers.
That's true too.
Yeah, that
Oh.
too. But
Yeah.
and also just how he was drawn to was a little the little hooks of his cape.
Oh yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
ooh,
He looks
I
like
would not-
demonic. He looks like
yeah.
they make him like overly like like
It,
evil looking. I'm like, I don't know about that.
yeah, and most of the time too is like the black shadow with the outline of his face lines and eyes. Most of the
Yeah.
Yeah.
time too.
Do you feel that this issue, with all of the backstory that we kind of discussed beforehand, like I had to do a long setup to get us to here.
Mhm.
If you did not know that setup going in, do you think that this issue does a good job of setting readers up for what's going to happen? Or do you feel like it could have benefited from like a previously on? Or do you think, because like,
Mm.
a lot of times, like in old comics, like you just picked up an issue and you're like, you assumed there was backstory to a lot of it. I needed to get it through context clues or not. Do you think this issue did a good job in setting things up, or was there just like this isn't a good? You know what I mean? Do you kind of get on what I'm getting at?
Yeah, I mean, Gene, you can answer this first, then I'll see what.
I feel like there's like enough to get by,
Uh huh.
but I don't know. Like I remember as a kid, I'm like, what is like why is he the Spectre? Like you just kind of you don't
Shows up
really
as a
get the
specter.
yeah, he's just a Spectre. He's just Parallax. They explain Parallax, but you get little flashbacks, but yeah, it's a lot of lore. It's very dense, I would
Well,
say.
even
Yeah.
the Guy Gardner of it all, like I'm like, what's going on here?
Mhm.
I don't. That's just me. Like he's got that weird alien DNA. Like even like what I mean. Like I just felt that it was kind of a little out of place, but I feel like it could have benefited. Like it really could have benefited. And like I get it. Like I think this book wasn't written for people as a jumping on point. I think this was written for like all the fans of Green Lantern for the last like 15 years. Like I said,
Yeah.
DC fans were pissed for a very long time over Hal Jordan. So I think like this is written for those fans who were like, oh, thank God it's coming back. But what do you think, Josh?
Yeah, it's hard because there's some stuff where you're like, it's they do have the context clues of like
Mm-hmm.
when John asks Guy like, "Hey, do you miss it?" and he's like, "No, I'll get it." And you kind of see that he is kind of lying a little bit, and so it establishes that Guy used to be a Green Lantern, and then
Mm-hmm.
um, there's like a sadness to Hal Jordan in this
Mm-hmm.
first issue, so you have that kind of context, and then there's some stuff where I mean, they don't explain, but it kinda questions, like, do they really need to explain it?
Yeah,
Like
that's true.
Guy having the alien DNA, it's like, you can just if this is your
Assume he's
first
just a
time.
superhero. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. If this is your first time kinda, like, reading Green Lantern, you don't know who Guy Gardner is,
Yeah.
then you kinda just accept it, and you just kinda accept kinda this stuff of, like same thing with, like, the Spectre type of thing or Hal Jordan, or if you don't know the history of the Spectre,
Mm-hmm.
um you just kind of like kind of accept it, or you kind of get that context of what happened a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So it just I think it just depends on how in the know you want to be, or how much you can just look over it like, oh, okay, so or like it kind of makes you like, oh, so how did this happen, let me read back on some stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I will say to that end, that is kind of the beauty of comics. Like, oh, there's these things
Yeah.
they're alluding to or brought up. I need to go find out more. I mean, this book I think is chock full of it, but this book I think was about like retconning a lot of that. So I think it would have, my personal opinion, it could have used a little bit of a
Mhm.
little more recap, for non-readers. Because I mean, like the whole Sun Eater thing, and then Zero Hour, and then Parallax, and then and then the Spectre, and then like his weird alien DNA. There's just a lot. Like I feel that
Mhm.
kind of got glossed over, but
Yeah.
that's just me. I mean, again, hey, if it works for you, it works. Do you want to tackle issue 2, Josh?
Yeah, sorry, I was burping, excuse me.
How dare
Yes.
you? How dare you?
You caught me, like, right in the middle of a
I saw
burp.
actually.
That's why, you
That's why I
jerk.
called you out on it.
Yeah, exactly. I moved away, you jerk. And I'm gonna keep this in the edit too.
Good.
Um,
I hope
so
you
with
do.
I hope I do too, because 'cause I'm lazy. So issue 2, it's called Enemies Within, and really is just kinda continuing the plot with, Kyle's ring reveals that, it's Parallax who is coming. Hal and Carol, we pick up from issue 1 where, they're discussing their past, and he kinda reveals that he's been trying to fix things and return them to the way they are, which is kind of exactly what he was trying to do with Parallax. And
Mhm.
there's a little bit more like retconning that we discussed in kind of goes on here where Hal's dad, you see him kind of die as a hero, and while Hal is like really holding on to his jacket, and that's why he wears his jacket. Um, to still, and the reason how, I guess they have a whole thing where like you can tell, and my dad always said you can really tell how a man is by how he wears his jacket, and
No.
it was a little heavy handed for me, but whatever. And then just him like actually meeting Carol for the first time as kids, and just it changes, like you said, more of like Hal's dad was not really great to him
Nope.
actually in the comics, but it makes it more, again, like the pedestal, putting him up on a pedestal.
Yeah. He's kinda
Um
like Thomas Wayne, where it just keeps, like, changing of, like, in Long
yeah.
Halloween, he's kind of a jerk, but then, like,
Yeah.
some continuities, he's like, "Oh, he was, like, a really good guy."
Or even Superman's Jor-El
Jor-El,
and
yeah.
Yeah.
stuff. Um but also keeps we and then we go back into the other side of where John is kind of gets in a fight with the JLA, which is out of character, but we'll see why like later on. And then Guy is restored now. Like his body at that point had blown up, but he was all just kind of like, I don't know, mushy and
Yeah,
stuff. Like
the best line is, like, at least his organs are on the inside of him now.
right. Yeah, and Martian Manhunter is doing like his best to kind of keep him like alive, but all of a sudden, all this energy happens, this green energy, and then Guy pops back up in his regular like human body, and he's in the full Green Lantern gear, and he just looks like he's going to fight, everybody that's on the satellite, the JLA satellite, and then we go back where Kyle in the excuse me, and the campers who found him, and here shows up Kilowog, and he's down to fight Kyle, and Kyle has been protecting this casket of Hal Jordan, and there's one thing too that's like very you kind of foreshadowing, or tells you like the reason why some stuff is going on, where John and Guy and Kilowog are using the rings, but Kyle's really trying hard not to use his ring, which is abnormal, because you're fighting somebody. Why don't you use your biggest gun? But so Ganthet now shows up, and he kind of is like, hey dude, pump the brakes. This Hal Jordan's body is like under my protection, and he kind of like just kind of sets his appearance is like the end of the issue, but it's like a big like, okay, so Ganthet's here, so Kyle has backup, and now things are escalating.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, that
issue
was
2.
yeah, it's a good cliffhanger too, I would say.
Mhm.
That one,
It's
like
definitely set it more pieces for, stuff to go sideways, what I mean? So it's a lot of questions like, "Oh, why is," like you just said, "why is, why are John and Kilowog and all of them acting so out of character?" And then also, like, what's up with Hal's body and all that.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's a lot of retconning going on with this that is like, because if you, like I said, if you read Emerald Dawn, that's like the origin of Hal Jordan. Like, Hal is a fuck up, for lack of a better word. He really is. Like, he literally is drunk driving, gets like one of his friends like severely injured, you know what I mean, in the process, and can't even drive a car, let alone a simulator, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's interesting that, they've retconned him, like you said, Josh, to put him on a pedestal and putting his father on this pedestal and all that. Um, I don't mind retcons. It's just for me, retcons have to work in the sense that you kind of have to reference what was said or done before, and then like, oh, well, you just saw this in a different light, or like, no one knew I was actually feeling this way, or whatever. You know what I mean?
mhm.
Like Carol Ferris being there, I don't mind, because like, yeah, we didn't see everything that happened at that day his dad died. Like, she could have been on the sidelines, but like when it's like, like his dad was a piece of, and it's not good to his son and all that other stuff. It's like, that's where I'm like, you should have, referenced it or something like that. I don't know. That's just me. What do you think about retcons?
I feel like kinda maybe the opposite of, if they could tell a better story than the
Mhm.
previous version, I'm all for it.
Okay.
Yeah, or if it's like something like, taking out something that was like, "Okay, that should never have been in this
Problematic.
comic." Yeah, like, I was gonna say Sins Past, Norman Osborn, and Gwen
Oh,
Stacy. I'm like, "Okay," like, they
Mhm.
retconned that recently. I'm like, "Thank God." Like, that should never have been a thing.
or was it
What are you
well, even
talking
like,
about with the Gwen Stacy, Norman Osborn thing? I'm only saying that because I purged it from my memory
No,
and don't
yeah.
really wanna talk about it.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, one of the things I think they retconned was, like, Hal dated a
Yeah.
teenager for a while. It was
Yeah.
Arissa, I believe, she was one of the Green
Yeah.
Lanterns, she was, like, completely underage, and I think they retconned it where, no, she was just underage in terms of it was like some
Yeah,
weird justification. I was just like,
like an alien in human years or something
yeah,
just insane.
yeah,
I'm
it was
like,
something like that. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, "No, man,
who wrote
maybe
that? Who wrote
Jeff
that?
Johns
John
wrote the
Brent?
re well, Jeff Johns wrote the retcon, but the
Oh,
original thing was, like, I was it goes back, like, to the
I
'60s
was
or it's
gonna
like
I
'70s
was
or
gonna say
'80s.
it's John Byrne.
No, I was gonna say, or it's Gerard Jones. I hate to say it, but
Oh, no.
Gerard Jones, who was one of the longtime writers on Green Lantern, got nailed for some kitty stuff.
Oh,
Well,
jeez.
yeah, we're gonna leave it
Ugh.
at that, and
Yep.
moving on.
Yeah.
But
So we go
keeping
into
on
issue
with the
3.
keeping on with the retcon though type of thing though too,
Sure,
Yeah.
please.
because something like that type of retcon,
Mhm.
with Hal, Hal's dad, actually being nice and instead of being, mean how he was originally or something. I think something like that isn't too big of a
Yeah.
retcon to be
Oh,
like
I'm being
noticeable.
like one of those, like, "Yeah, actually,"
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
Yeah.
that's why,
care.
like, especially I think this is like, what's the best way of saying this? Rebirth is kind of like what they did with the Ultimate Universe without changing the continuity.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
It's bringing it into for a modern audience and
yeah.
kind of changing a lot of or starting from this basically. Um
Well, you could, and I hate to say this, but you could argue because of DC constantly shifting its continuity, whether it's through Zero Hour or Proskisis, whatever. There's been these like cataclysmic time events where like you could make the justification. Oh, that's where like it changed from out of or Emerald Dawn
Mhm.
into this. Like you can make the justification. Like that's where that retcon comes from. You know what I mean? Like
and
arguably.
and also the shift of Rebirth, like the DC Rebirth.
Well, that's a whole other thing. I mean,
That's
this
what I
in
mean.
terms of this, yeah, but I mean, this is pre-Rebirth, like the end of this
N-
book. It's like there
I,
was Zero Hour, and that did shift the origins of a lot of these characters. Remember, like I think we had talked about it, like Wonder Woman I believe pre Zero Hour or post Crisis was never on Man's Island, never left to Man's World, excuse me. And so they put Black Canary as her replacement, even though she was in the 60s, she was, part of the Justice League. And then I think it was like whatever retcon it was, post Zero Hour, post something or other, they were like, no, she was always I think it was part of Infinite Crisis. Like, no, she was part of it. And so they constantly retcon themselves, you know what I mean?
this is
Yeah.
like I'm saying like this Rebirth was like precursor for the overall DC
All
Rebirth.
Rebirth. Yeah,
Like
exactly.
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
speaking of like shifting things, like what is it? Yeah, it was the post crisis, pre crisis, and then there's post Zero Hour, pre Zero Hour, post
Mhm.
52, pre 52, post
Infinite
Rebirth.
Crisis.
Yeah. Uh
And then there's New 52, then there's Convergence, then there's
yeah, I'm just naming all the
Rebirth.
just
Yeah.
very different ones.
God.
Well,
So
it's
many.
funny, it's like, DC's always had that problem where they've constantly had to retcon themselves so much, whereas Marvel's just like, "Nope, I mean, they kinda did with Secret Wars, the 2015 Secret
Se
War, but not really.
Secret
All
Wars.
Isn't
that
that what they're
event
kind of
was
doing now too? With the
kinda.
KO and stuff, like,
No.
was it
Yeah.
No,
Next
no.
or something like that? Something
No.
something just got
Well,
announced too.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna say you get kind of shades of that with, like, CB Kowalski being like, "The Punisher was never in the Vietnam War, he was in the Sin Kong War, this
Well, I think we
fake
talked
war."
about that last time, which I
Yeah.
was actually fine
Yeah.
with. You don't like that, but I'm,
Yeah,
like, okay with
no,
it.
yeah. But that's, like, kinda shades of slightly retconning, but it isn't,
Yeah.
like, retcon, it's just, like,
Yeah. There's plenty of stories of
updating.
Punisher being in Vietnam, whether it's Punisher Max or
Yeah,
Punisher in the Nam books or whatever. So but you're right, those are light enough that you can kind of like, but and like I said, the whole dad thing, I'm like, who cares? It's not that big a
yeah.
deal. I'm just being like, actually, it's just
Mhm.
that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
But yeah, yeah, the next big thing is gonna be called Next Level, DC Next Level. So I
Mhm.
mean,
Okay.
it's after the whole absolute stuff and all in. So yeah, like you said, it's
Okay.
constantly it's ebbing and flowing, and a river of change that keeps just
Yeah.
flowing.
That's what happens when characters are nearly 80 to 90 years old. You have to do that, man. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of issues, issue 3, Yellow. After 2 years of buildup, shit gets real, and we get the origin of Parallax.
Mhm.
Kilowog's attack on Hal's body fails. However, he, like John and Guy, have been infected or affected by Parallax. We find out that Parallax has been around since the beginning of the universe and is the living embodiment of fear. The Guardians fought it and trapped it inside the central power battery and then subsequently forgot about it. So this insectoid embodiment of fear is just living in the thing. And that's why, of course, the rings can't affect yellow, because on the emotional color spectrum, yellow is fear and green is willpower. One day it awoke and it bonded itself to Hal. This is all the backstory. Hence why there was gray streaks in Hal's hair.
Mhm.
Of course, when Coast City was destroyed by Cyborg Superman and Mongol, this is what caused him to rampage against the core. But the point of no return was when they released Sinestro to fight him, and Hal broke Sinestro's neck. He was now full on Looney Tunes. Um, as the story kind of progresses, which Hal continued to fight with Parallax that was bonded to his body or his soul, and that led to Final Night, which is where he sacrificed himself to reignite the sun. And then it's also revealed, this is all like backstory in the comic, that is
Yep.
revealed that part of the reason that Spectre bonded himself to Hal was because it wanted to punish Parallax for its crimes. But by this point in the book, Parallax is now taking control of the Spectre. Um, this all raises the question, if Parallax had been asleep inside the central battery, who woke it up? And the answer is on the final page, Sinestro.
Mhm.
That feels like a pretty good recap of issue 3, I'd say, right, Josh?
Yeah.
Yeah. And showed why, like how the parallax was affecting, like you said, Kilowog and John and Guy, and why Kyle wasn't trying to use his ring is, they're infecting him through the ring still, like even
Well,
through Guy, excuse me, Hal.
Well, Gambit says, like, it's because of your flaw that it can't affect you or something like that. I was like, well, wait, his ring is pure. Like, I don't know. I was like,
Yeah.
Right.
flaw. I'm like, wait, what? Oh, you have a flaw. That's why it can't affect you. I'm like, I feel like that's a plus, actually.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, it's, no, it's just a good, like, and you have some cool kind of scenes and stuff, like where Gantha was fighting Kilowog. And you're just kind of seeing how it's funny how, so this little blue imp is completely overpowering an alien like Kilowog.
Well, like, don't they say like Gantha could like literally crack the world in half if he wanted to?
Yeah,
Like
there
he's
was a
that
thought or
powerful.
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I have a question to both of you guys. I mean,
Yes.
this basically explains, like, it's like this insectoid embodiment of fear and evil, essentially, was the reason Hal went crazy and all these evil things that Hal did were because of. Does this exonerate Hal at this point? Does this, like,
Oh,
you were infected by an alien? What do you think? I mean, I'm just kind of curious the thoughts on
well,
this.
it's kinda like with, Bucky as the Winter Soldier, where it's like
I was thinking
essentially he was
exactly the same thing.
yeah,
You and I are
essentially
on the same vibe, man.
yeah. I mean, essentially, like, he was, brain mind controlled and he was, like, brainwashed. I mean,
Mhm,
maybe, like, how could, like, make amends after, which he did, which you kinda saw
mhm.
the one of the core part of the Green Lantern Corps that, like, he stranded, he needed to, like, make it up to them a bit, but he wasn't in control of his actions. He was a Winter Soldier,
Yeah, I agree. It's like, ooh, man, it's kind of like the person or the gun.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, he didn't have. It's like, well, the thing is, like, the only difference between like the Bucky and the Hal thing is like
Hal
Hal,
had some
ha,
agency over his
like,
actions,
yeah,
though.
there's a nugget that Parallax latched down to, and yes, he made it like exponential, and
Mhm.
and grew it big to where he became crazy and stuff like that. But there was still something to start from, where Bucky was like clean slate,
Mhm.
Yeah, his mind wiped.
mind wipe type of thing, where Hal was like, just the it was compounded, and
Mhm.
um it 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 definitely he has some responsibility with it.
Sure.
Compared to Bucky, I think Bucky has a little bit more of like
A free pass.
deniability. Yeah,
Yeah.
repass, just a little bit. Where Hal, I mean, it's Hal deserves to be not feeling so good
Yeah.
Well,
about
it's
having.
funny, one of the things that happens in the Emerald, Dawn thing where we get the origin, like I said, he's drunk driving and gets one of his friends injured, and eventually that person dies. One of the things I did like, though, is at the end of it, even though he has the ring, he goes before the court and he's like, "I messed up. Arrest me," basically, and they're like, "Yep, you're going to jail, and you're going to jail for 90 days, like, you're gonna be," he takes responsibility for his actions. He doesn't try and
Well,
like, "Well, I was having a bad day," or he's like, "Nope, I throw myself on the mercy of the court. You do what you gotta do," and they put him in jail for it, and that's where Emerald Dawn 2 picks up, is where he's in jail, and, it kinda goes from there. But I do like that about Hal, was that he did I feel like they kinda wanted, just like you said, pedestal Hal a little bit here, like, "Oh, it was not your fault," it's like, no,
Mhm.
you had some agency in what happened. Like you said, there was a nugget there that it latched onto and it grew from, but it was like it's like Onslaught, like, well, Onslaught is, the evilest
mhm.
parts of Professor Xavier and a Magneto put together. It's like, well, that evilness still existed within it,
Right.
Xavier, some responsibility in that,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think it exonerates him, but at least gives a reason for the way he acted, I think, and, like, luckily, at the end of the day, like, everyone's brought back to life, so do the
Yeah.
actions even matter,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, you tell me. Well, I think 1 or 2 died. I think Tomar Race died, but
Yeah.
that's all.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was just
Yeah,
curious,
you kind of see him pop up, or when Hal separates. We'll talk about that
Yeah,
when he goes towards the light. But
yeah.
yeah. I think the catalyst was Coast City, and then the latched onto that fear, but also I think the
Well,
anger that Hal had to the
yeah.
Guardians.
Well, because it says, because the gray streaks had been around since issue 1. Coast City didn't have until 46. The gray streaks, that's where they said that's when Parallax kind of started latching himself onto Hal and found something there and was able to. So it had been theoretically, in terms of the retcon, had been there since the beginning of the series.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So it is interesting, like that Coast City was what pushed him over the edge, though. But I
Uh,
digress. Want to talk
so,
about issue 4?
yeah, so moving on to issue 4, it's called Force of Will, and in this issue, we see old Baldy himself. Well, Baldy, how would you describe his mustache? I don't know, it's just like very like
Oh, it's not
robber
like
baron.
pencil, like that
Yeah,
pencil, like
pencil robber
long.
baron type of
He's
thing.
like the
Yeah,
guy from, Wacky Races, that
yeah,
video.
Yes,
that's exactly
exactly.
it.
Yeah, goodness. But they just basically are just fighting and for Hal to return. Sinestro really is fighting Kyle and Green Arrow, but Kyle and Green Arrow are getting whooped like handedly.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, he then Sinestro kind of does this whole like bad guy monologue where he reveals that he let everyone think he had died at Hal's hands, and that he had actually, fixed himself with his ring, and he had been communicating with Parallax the entire time, and he had been
What?
trapped in the power battery as well. Like,
Sinestro was behind it all?
right, and then you kind of he that's where he understands where the power that he of the ring that he made in the core, the anti it was the antimatter universe, yeah, the antimatter
Yeah.
universe for the Guardians, where that power came from, because I don't think it was ever really like explained before this. It was just like, oh, he has the yellow power ring.
Yeah.
Uh, and then at this time too, Parallax is finding the JLA, and they seem to be kind of afraid of him. Ooh, so
Huh.
for some weird reason,
Mhm.
and as they kind of to continue to fight, Hal manages to separate Parallax himself and the Spectre, and like the Spectre's just like, now that I'm like separate from you, it's like I need a host. You deal with this right here, and I'm gonna go find a new host, and
I love that.
peace
Yeah, I
out.
love that. I love that he's just like, "Yo, take out Parallax." He's like, "No."
Yeah, no, like he
Literally, he's like,
could
"No."
too,
Yeah.
like he
Yeah, he's like,
could,
"Yeah,
and then
no."
and
Spectre's
then
like, "Peace."
yeah, he's like, you got this, right? You got this. Okay, cool. Yeah, cool. Yep. Oh, okay. All right. Catch you guys later. Catch you on the next one. Catch you on the next big
Yeah.
crossover. And Parallax finds a new host, and that host is Ganthet, which that's a pretty good host. And Hal prepares kind of to like move on. He's seeing the light, and he's kind of going towards heaven. He's kind of stopped by just the spirits of like Abin Sur. Tomar Ray is part of that, one of those heads that shows up.
His father.
His dad, who tell him, you still have some more work to do. You're not done. Like, go back. No. And now Sinestro's just about to kill Ollie and Kyle, and then Hal pops he gets back into his body, and you see where the gray streaks go away, and Ollie actually even finds a way to use Hal's old ring against Sinestro with like he does like a little arrow, but hits him like in the chest. But it seems and it just he describes it of like, man, I just feel like I haven't slept for 3 days. I'm exhausted, and like all this willpower all into this one arrow. And then he goes to Kyle, does that feel like that? Is that how it always feels like? And Kyle goes, every time, which I was like, no, it doesn't.
Yeah. I have that question. Would Ollie really be that bad with the ring, do you think?
I think so.
Okay. What Sinestro says, like, your will is like cynical, and that's why it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But that's like, I understand like it would be hard for him to use it, like maybe not understand it, but to like the what puts it over is like when he asks Kyle, like, is it like that every time? He's like, every time. Like, no, Kyle, no, it's not for you, dude. No, it's not.
Yeah, it's exaggerating.
Yeah, like it's when it just reminded me of when people ask like Wolverine, like, does it hurt? And when you have you pop your claws, it hurts every time.
Yeah.
Like, then why do you do it so much?
It's a healing factor.
It's cool.
Yeah, the healing factor, yes, but it's like I'd be kind of pissed if I was popping like my knuckles like that all the time. Even though I have a healing factor, it still hurts.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, I liked how he was able to use the ring finally, but when you have other scenes too where like you've literally had way back in like JLA year 1 where Hal Jordan is keeping continents from moving with his ring. Like that's not like he's not overly exhausted about using his will. And it was just a weird line to me. I mean, that was like a weird one to like end it towards the end.
Yeah. So that brings us into issue 5, Rings. And this is a relatively short issue in terms of plot. It's basically just a Sinestro and Hal fight. It's a bunch of back and forth until Sinestro basically loses and is like pieces out. And Hal is like heads down to take Parallax out, but he's stopped by a not too trusting Batman. And that's kind of it. It's just a back and forth. And it's a good fight sequence.
It's a good fight.
But with that said, with so much of the issue dedicated to fighting, should there have been more constructs, or were you fine with just like energy blast and force, force blast and stuff? Because it feels like for two of the most robust like lanterns, there should have been a lot more like, cranes and dinosaurs and all that.
Boxing glove.
Yes, thank you.
I think it's okay because Hal's still getting back into it's like he's kind of like
rusty.
He's like
rusty, and he's cracking his knuckles. He's also just doing the warm up fight. Like this is just he's doing his warm ups and just getting used to the ring again.
Yeah.
Like he hasn't used the ring for a while, or and he just got back in his body too. So
Also, I got the sense when when Sinestro tells him like "Welcome back," how like I feel like Sinestro wasn't going for the kill during that fight, right? Like he was kind of enjoying it. He's like, "Oh, I get to like spar with
absolutely,
my old rival." Like he was loving that.
Yeah.
And doesn't this have when he first met Sinestro too?
Yeah,
like the whole authority, like. Sinestro shows up when he's in the middle of like a test flight and it blows up his plane.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was like. What'd you do? He's like, I don't care about your earthly,
Yeah.
grievances. We got crap to do. My planet is not being, watched by me right now. So let's get to work. He doesn't care.
Yeah. Or it's just like, you haven't heard of me? It's like, Ring, tell him. And it's like the most, um,
Yeah.
with police, no, or just one of the most like
Orderly planets.
orderly planets. And then you find out
Sectors,
why. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to issue 6 and start wrapping this up. Josh, you want to go for 6?
Yeah. So, I mean, the last issue is called, Brightest Day. And then Batman basically just still hates,
Yeah.
Hal. I mean, that's just the whole thing, and how the Green Lantern Corps got their, came back, and Batman doesn't like trust basic. Batman's one of those people, he doesn't trust what he doesn't understand, and Green Lantern stuff just he does not understand. But again, this is seeing Hal back after he just saw him, separate himself from Parallax, from the Spectre, and he's just trying to really just he thinks that they can handle this, and Hal, you need to stay away because he can be infected again. And when he tries to stop Hal, he gets punched. He gets the one punch layout.
It's the one punch.
Yeah.
He gets really humble.
Yeah.
Which is like, I'm surprised that got past DC editorial, because it's like he was the back god during that time, right?
It still is,
yeah. It still is, yeah.
But like,
which it makes you kind of think, like, did he let him do it? And then also, like,
I think he just wasn't expecting Hal to punch him.
That's very true.
Yeah.
And then I think the best part about that panel is Guy's face in the background. Like, you can see, like, he really enjoyed that.
I wrote this in the notes, but I wish they had recreated the panel from Justice League. The panel where the one punch panel, because it would have been a nice like callback, and maybe it still is a callback, but it would have been a nice like a real good parallel for.
Yeah, he doesn't knock him out like Guy gets knocked out. He just kind of what's stunned him or like sucker punched him.
Sucker punched him.
He sucker punched him, like
And then, well, Guy's face is a lot like Ted Kord's face was when Guy got punched. So
that's true. That's fair.
Batman. Oh, I was gonna say it's like Batman's like friggin' De Niro in Raging Bull. He's like, you never knocked me down, right? He's like, you never knocked me out.
I'm still fighting. I could do this all day. So with that though, the new core, like basically everybody has been de-parallaxed, basically, and they have to fight Ganthet, who's still infected by parallax, and JLA were about to help him out, but then Alan Scott's like, no, they got this. They need this. And how it comes for like one of my favorite parts of the whole series, which is it's in Hal's narration, and he's just talking about each of their style against parallax, where John, his constructs are built from the ground up, every little bolt and every little very much the mind of an architect. It's very everything has like its own function, where Guy's ring is just like, it's like a leaky faucet, like a sparkler of all his will and him using it. And even how like they draw it too is all different too. But and then Kyle is the artist. He constantly updating, even in the panel he's like erasing something, which it's like, dude, you really doing a V2 of your construct against parallax right now. And then he talks about himself, where he's like, I've always just whatever needs to be, or no, Kilowog, excuse me, I forgot Kilowog. Kilowog's is the only one that makes a sound, which is like a big boom, because of his willpower. And then Hal's is one that he's like, I just did the direct whatever got the job done type of construct. And I liked how each of them were drawn to, where like Guy's willpower and everything was a lot like fire, like it was like a flame and stuff. And then John's was very linear or boxy, and then the Kilowog's was like a cannon, and then loud and like a big just cannon out of his arm. And then Kyle's was a big drawing, and then again more artistic. And then Hal's was just like a straight one line shot, like in the middle. And so eventually, though, they're able to separate Ganthet from Parallax and trap him back into the central power battery for now. And Bat is he still doesn't trust Hal, but he recognizes the universe does need a little bit more light. And the book finishes off with a Ferris airfield restarting and Ollie giving Hal back his old power battery. So yeah, that was the end, and the in kind of sets up for future stories.
So I guess the big question after all this, we've talked about whether this is a good jumping on point or not, but and I think overall we're kind of like, okay, I don't think it's a good jumping. I personally don't think it's a good jumping on point, but I think if you're into, excuse me, if you're into the Green Lantern, it's a good way to go. Do you think the series did a good job of quote unquote rebirthing the Green Lanterns and specifically Hal Jordan? Gene, what do you think?
I think it did. I think in terms of like the context of where things were and in the 2000s of the 90s sort of replacing some of the heroes with heroes or replacements. I think I think it does. It also doesn't it's not like Azrael and Batman where Batman like give me that cowl like
Yeah.
he kicks him down. Like Hal respects Kyle and like appreciates him. So there was never like, oh, let's get rid of this this lame 90s character. It was like, no, like how Kyle was like the torchbearer and it
Kept the
was like
flame alive.
yeah, he kept the flame alive. So he was like appreciated. It never felt like overly, you know what I mean? Like retcon.
Yeah, no, that's a really good. I think I think the Azrael examples are good. I do like that he's like Hal when he gets his ring back, he walks up to Kyle. He's like, "Let's do this for real this time."
Right.
Hi, I'm Hal. Like I do like that they had that.
They
moment.
shake hands. Yeah, they hug it out.
Shake hands. Predator high five.
Yeah, son of a.
What about you, Josh? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, he was doing the quote. You son of a bitch.
Oh, something. But what about you, Josh? Do you think this was it did its job?
I think so because I mean, in retrospect, it jump started this whole huge like Green Lantern dominance of stories of DC for the next few years. So it's literally like a rebirth of the book itself, not just the character, but just the book, and even some of DC Comics too. So I think it brought it up into limelight. It was the jumping. I think again, like I said, it was like the big start of Jeff Johns' like ascendance to like top tier writer.
I agree with that.
And
Green Lantern had been his sales were so bad at that point that he like you said he definitely jump started the Green Lantern.
It's so funny how we see these stories constantly where when they are low sales and they have less eyes on it, the writers and have a little bit more leeway and can do more what they want, and then those chances pay off a lot, and that just jumpstarts a lot of stuff. So it's
and then I was gonna say, and then like bringing back Hal, it's like, all right, we get Alex Ross immediately back as the cover artist. Because he hates Kyle Rayner for whatever reason.
Well,
that's all older.
It's a whole.
He's a Silver Age guy. That's a Golden Age, really. Is Silver or Golden Age?
He's Silver. He's Silver Age. Silver Age. He doesn't do much. It's really funny to see when he did like an X-Force cover once, and I was like, it caught me so off guard to see his version of Cable and Farrell and all those. Like,
it's weird because he'll do non-Silver Age characters for Marvel, but like DC, he's like, get these away from me.
Yeah, that's so funny. I think for me personally, I think the series did a good job of like bringing back like all those things that had been lost over the years. Like I said, I'd like Kyle Rayner, but I get like where all the DC fans were coming from, and and it's obviously what Green Lantern needed. It really did. It needed this new blood. It needed a restart and got to get back to the basics kind of thing. Do I think it's a good jumping on point for most people? I don't think so, unless you've been into Green Lantern comics, but that's another discussion. If you are going to continue to read, though, what are some good books, Josh, that, not like necessarily similar reading, but like what are epilogues to this where should people pick up from there?
I mean, the natural progression of it is just going to the Green Lantern relaunch that just happened right after this. And then, because they even alluded to it with a couple of the characters like Hector Hammond and
Black
Yeah,
Hand and all that.
Black Hand and they mostly, Johns is on that book. I think Vince Guy was
For
on
a
it for a little
while.
bit.
He goes all the way through
Yeah.
New 52 until Robert
Yeah.
Venditti picks over.
Right.
Uh,
So I mean, I would stay with that, and then that progresses into the other big events of Green Lantern. So yeah, and
I
it
will
brings in
say,
like all the different emotional spectrums,
yeah,
and just you take one one like line or one moment really that
mhm.
we'll talk on like a similar reading, and then makes the whole expanded lore of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say, like, if you like, for me, like, I can't get past a certain artist, like, I won't buy, like, the single trade of it, like the deluxe edition, but, you either check it out from the library or whatever, but you can also pick up, like they said, there's the compendium, it's like 1,500 pages, and it's got,
Mhm.
like, not only does it have Rebirth in it, it has all the Secret Files stuff, it has Green Lantern 1 through 13, it's got the Guy Gardner stuff, Rand Vanguard War, it's got, like, Green Lantern Corps, Recharge, it's got the Green Lantern
Yeah.
Corps, but so, like, there's a ton
Mhm.
1,500 pages, so, like, luckily, the Van Skivert of it all is, like, minor at best in the
Yeah.
compendium, and it's, like, $60, but I managed to find a copy for, like, 30, so, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I would do
Yeah.
if you're, like, really interested in this and don't wanna really donate to certain people, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get into final thoughts real quick. I kind of just gave you mine. Like I said, there's better artists in this book. Like I said, Carlos Pacheco, Patrick Gleason. You got people like Tomasi writing as well. I think David Gibbons is writing in this as well. David
Mhm.
Gibbons, of course, from Watchmen. He was an artist and a writer for Green Lantern for a very long time.
He created
Um,
Mogo, right?
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mogo the Living, or not Living Planet, but Mogo the Green Lantern. Let's talk with Eugene and then Josh. You close us out. What do you think? What's your final thoughts or recommendation on this book, Gene?
Yes, no, I think it's a good DC book for like a casual fan to pick up, for a DC if you know enough about DC, if you want to know more about Green Lantern,
Mhm,
I think it's a great jumping off point, and
mhm.
I think it still holds up. It's unfortunate about the creators, which obviously we've talked about that, but it's one of my favorite works, and it also feels like it's probably going to influence the James Gunn DC
Yeah,
universe, is what I've gotten the impression of with Lanterns coming out.
nice.
Yeah,
Josh, what
and
about you?
I just echo what Gene was saying. I think it is a good if you're it's a good jumping off point if you're wanting to get more into Green Lantern. If you wanted to get ahead of this Lantern show,
Mhm.
it's
Yeah,
something good to start with. Or if you like, hey, you like Guy Gardner in the Superman movie, so it's and I mean, the art is good enough, even though again, separating the art from the artist, in
yeah,
the writing is good enough where it's not boring.
Mhm,
It's fun. It's
mhm,
very, I mean, ironically, it's uplifting
mhm.
hmm
a little bit. There's a lot of like hell yeah moments,
Yeah,
with it that helps the read. It helps the read go by quick, and it's only 6 issues too, so
yeah.
it's a
Like I
quick
said,
read.
I would say pick up a compendium, like, because 'cause you're just gonna wanna go right into, like, Green Lantern 1 right
Yeah,
after that. Like I said, Carlos Pacheco, I think Darwin Cook does a backup in there a couple
oh
times, like,
yeah,
there's, like,
yeah.
a lot. Ivan Reis is one of the artists in there, so it's like, like I said, you got
I
Dave
but
Gibbons writing. Go ahead.
yeah, I'm just saying for this book specifically, Rebirth
Yeah, yeah,
specifically, I think
yeah.
it's an easy 6 issue read,
Yeah, yeah,
and it does jump you into the other, like you're saying, those other books and other companions if you want to keep going with it.
yeah.
yeah.
Well, speaking of that, let's get into similar reading. What other books, if people like this, what other books can people read that if they're interested?
Uh, I was gonna throw out DC New
Please.
Frontier, which is
Yeah.
very Hal Jordan centric.
Yes,
Well,
very good. Yeah.
it's funny you should say that. That was one of the primary reasons they finally reneged and was like, "Okay, fine,
Oh,
bring Hal Jordan back," because he was so well done in New Frontier that
yeah,
Mhm.
their DC was like, "Okay, we tried this Kyle thing. It's not going away. He did really well in New Frontier. Bring him back." Like, literally, it was like New Frontier is one of the reasons, like, this happened. So,
yeah.
that's a really good recommendation there, Gene.
Oh, thanks.
And it's a great book. If we talk about it, we might
Well
have you back on too.
Oh
well,
yeah,
I was gonna say not only that,
R.I.P.
but you
Darn.
can pick it up for $9.99. You can literally pick up the
That's
new the
right.
compact
Mhm.
versions $10. That's 2 issues right there. The entire thing. Normally, I can't talk
I bought
highly enough about the compacts. Do
yeah.
that.
And if that's, if you're not able to get that too, I mean, look it up on HBO Max, because the cartoon movie is a really good adaptation of it.
It's
Okay.
really good. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
like of all the DC animated films, that one's up there because they really go out of their way to, uh, bring Darwin Cook's art style to life and
Yeah.
adapt it. Like, they only lose, like, a couple stuff because the runtime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also they added Batman to the final battle, so I really appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very much like one of those, like, hey, they use the comic as a storyboard.
Yeah.
Which,
Well, to say Darwin Cook's like art lends himself towards that animation.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
simple enough but detailed enough. But
Yeah.
that's a really good recommendation, Gene.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's perfect.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have
and
anything else, Josh?
other similar reading, I think one thing to maybe look up if you want some more into the deeper lore of the Green Lantern Corps is look up Tales of the Green Lantern Corps, which is an Alan Moore
Yep. I have that
book,
issue actually.
which
Alan, it's in annual number 2.
yeah, and it's what Jeff Johns basically bases his whole run on, which it delves into the emotional spectrum of Green Lanterns, how different lanterns pop up. Another book, which is the next event after this one, is Sinestro Corps War, which is one of my favorite books because there's a lot of like oh shit moments in that.
Oh damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of my, like, has one of my favorite just like harrowing panels of just the one thing about the Green Lantern Corps is if the Green Lantern falls in battle, if they die, the ring automatically looks for a new replacement. And then there's a panel where they're like Hal and I think John and a couple people are going back, trying to get back to Oa for this battle. And then there's just this huge just wave of Green Lantern rings flying by them trying to find their replacements. Of just how like this battle and this war is. And that kind of leads up to more of looking into other lanterns and like the lead up to Blackest Night.
Yeah.
So you get like lanterns for all the colors of the spectrum, which it's, you see green, yellow, but also blue, indigo, red, excuse me, orange, and pink, and they're all like parts of like emotion, and red, excuse me, and like rage and things like that. And those are actually that's the fun because you like you get characters like LaFleas. That's a really fun, interesting character and stuff.
Yeah.
And then that leads into Blackest Night, which is kind of like Jeff Johns' like crescendo to this whole thing, like his whole. And then last one, Brian, you want to say the last recommendation I think we have?
No, I don't, because that would tee up someone I don't like. You can though if you want.
Okay.
I'm not recommending it.
Right, oh, that's true. You don't like on like the different part but if you liked this Rebirth, the same team tackles Flash's Rebirth. So there's a Flash Rebirth where the return of Barry Allen.
I didn't really care for it. I actually didn't. I didn't care for the story. I didn't care. Obviously, I don't care for certain aspects of the book, but I didn't. I don't think they need to bring. I mean, there's the reason that Barry Allen has lost his powers and Wally is now the Flash, and kind of she tells you that it wasn't needed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was a different scenario than the Hal Jordan. Yeah. The only thing I liked about, or one of the only things I liked about that book is when what Superman is running, trying to catch up to the Flash, and he's just like, Wally, I'm probably just as fast as you. We raced a couple times. I even beat you in like a couple, and he just looks at him like that was for charity, and just like passes right by him.
Yeah, but then it always gets retconned that Superman could beat him actually because Superman finds a way.
Yeah, it's not. That's I don't even want to talk about that one. Because that doesn't make any sense. But yeah, so that's just some like similar reading. If you want to keep going into this this Green Lantern Green Lantern book. And you definitely check that out. I do, out of all those, I do like really would push for Sinestro Corps War. Like definitely check that out. It's a very good book. It's a good war book. Like
they authorized
I'm sorry.
Oh, they authorized the Green Lanterns to kill with their rings. That's
Right, which is huge. Like they started changing rules for the lantern rings, and you get really cool other teams too. Like there's the Green Lantern Corps team that doesn't involve Hal Jordan or any of like the other 2814 sector guys. It's just like this own kind of
Sodom Yacht and all them.
Sodom Yacht where they have two veterans of the Rand Thanagar War fighting on the same team, and it's just great.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to close it out, but before we do, let's do weekly recommendations real quick. What is your kind of weekly reading? Just like one book that you would like to highlight. Josh, do you want to go first real quick on this?
Yeah, I'll go first, and then Gene, you can follow me up.
Yeah.
So I think the big book right now that's been fun, and it's starting to kind of wrap up. I think it's DCKO. That one's just like all over the place, craziness, and but like in a good way.
Yeah.
Like we had like the Absolute Universe fighting the Prime Universe. It's.
I haven't read it yet, but I was going to say it has Joker fighting Annabelle from the
right. That one, that spinoff is a little insane. Like it's literally like it's Samantha Strong from Under the Trees Where Nobody Sees. I forget who she fights, but like it's a little Scorpion from Mortal Kombat shows up. Homelander
fights Superman finally, and then you get like Superman and Shazam teaming up in one of the books too, and you have like a Dragon Ball Z reference.
Connor Hawk shows up in the DCKO, which I was like, "What? You brought Connor?" Like I lost my shit when I saw that. I was like really excited about that. What about you, Gene? Is there any book that you want to throw out?
I was gonna recommend. I probably did the last time, but it just ended. Ultimate Spider-Man, which was heck of a run. I know it has some haters of like this book isn't about Spider-Man, but it was the whole supporting cast. So it had a good ending. I think Hickman closed it out as good as he could have, considering those really shitty circumstances of Marvel editorial just axing everything, being like, okay, it's done. Like we don't care. Like wrap it up. So
it's probably because they was getting more love than the actual Amazing Spider-Man book.
Yes. Yeah. For obvious reasons.
Right. Which I think we discussed too in the last episode at length. When we talked about Ultimate Spider-Man.
For me, real quick, I'm going to recommend Kyle Stark's book, Wrestle Heist. It's about a bunch of former wrestlers that are like past their prime, trying to rob a wrestling venue because the person, their promoter, like has screwed them out over the years. So they're like, we're gonna rob the guy, and it's a heist with former pro wrestlers, and I'm not even a wrestling guy, but I love it. It's a lot of fun.
That's amazing.
And Kyle Starks is just great. He's doing the art and the story on this one, so it's really good.
Oh wow.
Well, comics are like wrestling, so
pretty much.
There's a lot of intertwining going on with that. Before we go, where can the fans find you, Gene? Where can people find you if they need to?
Yeah, you could find me on Twitter and Instagram, Gene9892, and I'm on Blue Sky. And you could find the Waffle Press podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify. It's on Instagram at the Waffle Press and Twitter.
That's awesome.
And thank you, everybody. Thank Gene for coming on the show.
Thank you so much, Gene. We really appreciate it. I know it was a long episode, and we are apologizing for it running so late, but we couldn't. We had to. We appreciate you sticking around.
It's all good.
Thank you. And thank you everybody for listening. This is we're wrapping up, so please make sure to subscribe and hit us up on Instagram and Blue Sky. Instagram is We Got Issues Cast. Blue Sky is We Got Issues. Brian, you're on Instagram now, so which is
I'm gonna try and start
crazy.
I'm gonna try posting more. I swear it's like Speedo Jedi on Instagram, but it's also the BComp on Blue Sky.
Right. And if you like this episode, please rate us 5 stars and recommend to your friends. If you didn't like this episode, who do you think you are? And please still rate us 5 stars and tell your friends. If you want to suggest something, or even just hit us up and chat to us about our Green Lantern Rebirth, what you like, what you didn't like as well. I mean, we're always willing to hear about it. So please just reach out to us on the Instagrams and on the Blue Skies. We'll definitely reply, and even want to comment too on the show. Please, always love to hear thoughts, and as long as they're positive.
Yeah, we don't want any critiques.
No, we're not taking
It'll
notes.
destroy my ego.
Yeah.
So with that, though, with our next episode,
next step.
Brian, what would you say where are we going on the next episode?
We're going to be hitting the road on our motorcycles, our flaming motorcycles. We're going to tackle some Ghost Rider comics, specifically the Spirits of Vengeance arc, Rise of the Midnight Suns. It's a 90s arc, and it kind of saw all the various,
you got your Blaze, you got your Catch, you got your Morbius, you got your Blade. It's
Vengeance I think was in that too. Yeah, it'd be fun. Actually, it's one of my. I've read Ghost Rider comics, but this will be nice because I'm actually less familiar with this lore, so it'll be nice to jump into that and start investigating all of it.
And this was a recommendation too by my dad, who's a big fan.
Sweet.
So yeah,
there we go.
So on that note, well, thank you for listening. Thank you, Gene, and we will catch you on the next one.
Peace.